I'll be dying laughing. It just
It's
starts
on my
streaming onto
channel.
the Jman channel.
Okay, I hit the stream button.
Okay. Well, if it does go to the Jman channel, it's not the end of the world because we're both back home now. But
Yeah.
it was a good walk. Well, welcome to the whatever channel you're on.
Yeah.
Let's
Welcome.
check.
Let's check and see.
I'm glad that you could join us on the channel of which you're watching us on. I mean, it doesn't look like it's live on the Walky Talky channel. Let's double check here.
Uh-oh. Am I live right now? Let me double check.
Doesn't look like J-Man's live either, so nope. Where are you live at?
Hold on.
No,
Maybe,
where are we?
wait, resend the stream key.
Oh my. As long as you don't accidentally share it on screen, it should be fine.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it's not sharing, but I mean, it might just take a sec. Sometimes it takes a sec on OBS.
Yeah.
Usually not this long, but.
You're live.
Oh, Walky Talky's live.
Let's go. Oh, your new
That's
host,
awesome.
Jman.
Okay, cool. It works and everything.
Host.
That's crazy.
Let's go.
I love that your background is so raw, colored manga.
Yeah, you like this? Yeah, I knew it would be perfect for the voice.
Yeah. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does. How's the audio level?
Okay, so. Okay, so what you're saying, gotta cut to the chase, jump to the cut to the chase. So, Kishimoto! Kamui, take it away.
Yeah, Kishimoto, he's under attack, you could say. The haters are calling him a P word for, saying stuff about Sarada.
Mm-hmm.
And before we get into it was pretty funny when we showed Oodie at least one of the alleged words he used, and he speaks Japanese, so needless to say, he does not agree.
Yeah. So it's like I'm the Japanese guy. Hi, in case first time to the channel. I'm Oodie, Japanese. I know it. I'm certified in it. In fact, so the word that I've understood that it to be, it's not. No, you're bad, dumb, bad. It's fine. It's cockaway. It means cool. It's cool. So, what do you got? Anyways, welcome to the Walky Talky podcast. My name is Oodie. I'm joined with my fellow co-host Kamui and the guest who is streaming, Jman.
Yeah. What's going on, boys? Jman.
Yes, Jman is the one streaming this stream, not me or Kamui. We are not streaming this. It's Jman, the guest. Just look at that. Yeah, you welcome to number one hyperactive knuckleheaded ninja podcasters. And I'm really butchering this intro, but that's okay. So the Kishimoto's interview came out. The infamous, fabled, legendary interview of France, which had been scheduled for months. Kishimoto and Ikimoto went to France for an interview after his latest Boruto chapter. They did it over the weekend on like the 23rd or whatever. They did like 3 interviews over the course of 3 different days, of which has plenty of different translations, both in French and Japanese. And people have translated to English. So we're going to be reacting to it to the first time. Kamui's already seen it. I don't know if Jman, I'm pretty sure Jman has seen it. I have not seen anything, but I've heard of a lot of things. This being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, you've probably seen all the Boruto topic.
Yeah, I haven't looked at anything, but I've seen a lot of people say stuff on Twitter. So, okay, the things I know confirmed is that Kishimoto said what about Sarada? He said cockaway, that means cool, not sexy, so it's controversy, that's just ridiculous. What else do I know? I know Kishimoto's making a new manga, whether it's Saruto or Samurai 9 or whatever else new thing, who knows? But he's
actually, I do have a theory on that.
We'll get to it, but yeah, I know he's looking to his family for inspiration. You know what that doesn't sound like? It doesn't sound like he's writing the Boruto manga, of which is actually confirmed in these interviews as well, apparently, seemingly, allegedly, which we'll get to. What else is in these? Apparently, this is just what I've heard. Apparently, there's something about Sakura's parents randomly. There's also like what they think about each other, Kishimoto and Ikimoto. There's something about Rock Lee or Mike Guy being the most inspirational motivational. I think it's something about Kakashi and Madara is the coolest character design to draw.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that might be everything I know.
What's funny is, I mean, you have covered like 80% of the things, but just in the vague sense, so you don't have like the full picture.
Yeah, that's all I know. It's everything, but that's all I know.
You have all the pieces, but not the completed puzzle.
Yes. With that being said, Jman, if you will so kindly pull it up, and I will be able to react to it for the first time. Whatever said about the Sarada stuff.
About the Sarada stuff. So here's the thing: I couldn't find the exact article, but from what me and Kamui have done in our research, we looked on Twitter, and it seems like there's this one woman who is vouching for Kishimoto, saying that he isn't a pedophile and that the word was just, I guess, misinterpreted or just mistranslated or what have you not. So I'll pull it up for y'all right now what this woman has been saying.
Can you share your screen on Discord for us too, J-Man?
Oh, on Discord? Okay.
Jesus. Oh, wow.
Yeah. Just so we can see as you do it.
Yeah,
okay. I mean, there's essentially, I've seen more than one thing. I've seen a contention about what word was used, but most of the people are saying that this word, well, it can mean like sexy. It's for Japanese a context-dependent language. It just the way he says it comes across as and it's about the context. He's basically describing Sarada as cool. Maybe he is saying she's like a attractive woman. Like I don't think most people are calling Sarada like some ugly beast. You know, he's not calling her ugly by any means, but like the point is just she looks cool. He likes her design. That's his favorite of Ikimoto's. Yeah. That's all.
Like, I'm not going to say I've never seen it used as attractive in any Japanese movie media or anything, but, like, in virtually no scenario is it ever used as attractive at all.
Not only that, if we're going to be honest here,
shonen anime.
Well, also, if that was going to be the case, let's be real. We've all made fun of it before, but if that's what he was going for, he would have said Delta or Eta. Like, let's be real. That's who he would have said. He wouldn't be picking Sarada.
Isn't Eta like...
I think the reason people are so up in arms about this isn't the mistranslation. It's the fact of how Sarada was depicted, especially early on, because I've seen a lot of people still complaining about that.
Yeah, that is...
Which, putting those two together...
Yeah, it's not.
I can see the interpretation.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know Japanese.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a Twitter person. Yeah. Okay, so the tone, the way he spoke, is not meant to be. Yeah, so this is her talking about it. Do we have like the official interview itself?
We couldn't find it. So as far as we can tell, this is what's annoying about these interviews. It seems like they're just a bunch of fragments or alternate translations of the same interview or something. I don't think we have the interview from the 25th, like anywhere where we can find it. No. Which is weird though, because the question like that pertained to Madara and Kakashi, for example, that you mentioned, I thought that was a August 25th thing, not 24th thing, because we do have the complete 24th thing. So I don't know why it's so weird. We have like snippets of the 25th. I'm like, isn't there like a location that just has the full thing regardless of what language? Like, why is it so hard to find this shit?
Yeah. It could be like a French thing. I don't know. Is it like an official event, or could just anyone go to this? Like, if we were in France, could we have booked tickets to this? I don't know. I thought it was a live stream.
Like, I don't know. It sounds like you could just go. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
Yeah. I don't know who they were letting in. Yeah, I think it was live stream, but we can't find it based on like their research. At least I haven't done any research because I'm going into it raw,
Yeah,
blinded.
I
So
don't
we
know
don't
how to
have any
find it. Like,
videos.
finding it on Google was impossible. I was only finding things on Twitter.
And apparently, like the word that Kishimoto even used in the first place is up in question. It could have been a word that starts with a K, which would be kakui. It could have been a word which starts with an S, which I don't know how you confuse those two sounds. They're
That's what
very
I said,
different.
bro. It was a completely different word. It was like like it had like shigetsu or something, like I don't know what the word was, but it was like some completely different sounding thing.
But like you've heard the word a million times, whether you realize it or not. If you've seen any Japanese anime ever, it's the most common word in shonen anime of all time. Like Boruto himself probably uses it like twice an episode.
Well, what's funny is kakui. It might be a different spelling, but in light of me watching some of the Deepa arc the other day, I'm pretty sure one of Omoi's teammates that gets killed was named Kakui. I could be wrong, but it sounded like that might have been one of his names. Like, I don't think his name was sexy, that's for sure.
No. It's probably not even like the same exact thing, but what I will say is there's also different ways to say it, so you probably don't even recognize it as the same word. Like sometimes he'll say kakoi, the correct way sometimes will be like kakoi, or sometimes it'll be like even like almost like a weird southern thing where it's like kake. It's like that the A sound like kake. Kakue. Almost like new.
In fact, Boruto probably says that about Sasuke. That would really throw this like to the curbside. If you find a clip of Boruto's
sure
not calling Sasuke sexy, like he's calling him cool.
I'm very confident he does. If he doesn't say it about him, he's definitely saying it about like the Starlight guy. What is it? The dude with the glasses.
Oh, Kagemasa.
He'll call himself it when he puts the glasses on. Yeah, whoever it is.
Yeah, I guarantee Boruto's called Sasuke Kakui then, if that means cool.
Literally, it's the most obvious word for cool in anime of all time. It's so often used. It's unbelievable that, like I was saying, it's honestly, it feels malicious that they would even translate it as sexy. Like, that's not even a not knowing Japanese thing. You just wouldn't do that. Like, unless, because again, Japanese is a very context heavy language, unless the context is abundantly clear, it would just not even make sense to word it like that. Like, realistically, you could do the same thing in English. Like, Kamui, hypothetically, if you're just, like, on a date randomly, and you're talking to your girl and like, hey, babe, your lingerie is pretty cool. Like, that's the only interpretation to where that word could even mean sexy. Like, even that's weird.
It's the weirdest way of saying it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know what else to say. I mean, like, hey, babe.
I mean, but in English, but for example, in English, like, you could say, like, oh, you look good. And you don't necessarily mean, like, I want to take off your pants. It's just, like, say, like, yeah. Exactly. It doesn't even necessarily mean you're looking attractive. It could just mean, like, you look healthy. Or it could be, like, yeah, you're a good-looking person. It's not inherently, like, the demon pedophile. It's like, relax, bro. Like, you gotta see it. Now, if he's, like, rubbing his hands together, but she's so kakui. Okay, maybe, yeah, okay, a bit weird, but if he's just like, yeah, she looks cool. Like, no, bro, she's not saying anything bad.
Yeah. Like, even if, and he isn't saying this, but even if he was saying she's beautiful, that doesn't necessarily mean in like the sexual sense at all. Like, he's also the creator of the series, so if anything, it's like a father calling her daughter, well, his daughter,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say.
And she's like dressing up for prom. Yeah. Like, it's literally, the likelihood of this being what people says it is so slim, it's virtually incalculable to me.
Mm.
Outside of the interpretation of early manga Sarada depiction.
Yikes.
Which is a
Let's not
completely
talk about
understandable
That's
interpretation.
Don't bring that
Kishimoto.
up.
That's Ikimoto. Unless
Oh.
that's the design Kishimoto was talking about in this Two Blue Vortex interview.
Yeah, it is Two Blue Vortex.
Yeah, he's talking about the Two Blue Vortex design in particular, I think. Anyway.
Bruh.
Maybe overall.
So what I'm hearing is my boy Kishimoto's cooked. The clown sobbing emoji is Kishimoto right now.
I saw even Six had a Twitter post saying Kishimoto dude ... So I think he thinks it's what he was told on Twitter.
Oh my god. Bro, I can't believe how many people jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
Like, did these people not hear this and think, that sounds wrong? Let me just double check really quick. Like, is there just, why is there blind trust in this? Whatever this
No, Oodie,
is.
I'm glad you just said that, because I was about to say, maybe your complaint about the blind sheep Uchiha who just don't go along with Madara, or the Warwick people who just go along with the Shinobi way. Maybe Kishimoto was being accurate, and people just are like that on average.
For real.
Oh my god, bro. It's hilarious. It's the worst interpretation.
Like, maybe
but
we're
sure,
the
but
exceptions to the rule.
We're the main characters. I'm just gonna boost our ego up more than Jura. Bro, like, I don't know, it's like,
But
is this just a Twitter exclusive thing? That people just do this on Twitter? Because this is a thing. Whenever drama happens, whoever made the last video is the one who's right, and the other person's career is over. Like Mr. Beast right now. He's done. The moment,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, the moment he makes any response at all, it's going to flip-flop entirely. It's going to do a complete 180. And you see this in drama literally all the time. Recently, there was a thing with people that you don't know.
Mr. Beast beat the allegations. You know that video's coming.
Oh, yeah, bro. Like, I bet you people already have the thumbnails ready. Like, they just have the video ready. like this happens in drama all the time. One recent example that I've recently seen is like Mr. T Lexify versus Noah J. If anyone follows the Call of Duty Zombies community, and I won't get into that, but like, I'll be honest. I thought Mr. T was cooked. He made his video. Everyone, universal practically support. Like 98% of people just love him. Like there's one or two people, if you really scroll down far, you're like, this guy's still weird. But then Noah J made his video and it's like, actually he's the wrong one. It's like, oh my god, I can't believe it. I was so blind all along. When it's not even anything new. It's just him saying from his perspective the same events without adding anything new in terms of information. Except just saying things that have already been said, but he's the one saying it now. So, just whoever uploaded the last video, bro, I swear. Hilarious.
It looks dumb. I mean, there's a lot of comments I've seen. I think even Sarada said something like, this interview was just shouldn't have happened because like people saying, oh, nothing good came out of this. I disagree. I feel like I'm in the minority who appreciates this interview, but I saw so many, whether it's the even outside of the Kishimoto allegations thing, there's basically every question in some manner got scrutinized, but I saw this as nothing but good. Like, I liked even some of the random questions I enjoyed. And, like, even this one, like, just talking about freaking Ikimoto's favorite designs Kishimoto did. So he likes Jiraiya's character, and he likes Madara and Kakashi. I saw a thing, I might have put in podcast topics, where he was describing basically, like, their design just, like, demands presence. Like, they're really cool. He just felt like, I can't remember what he said word for word, but, like, you just knew something was important. Like they demanded importance or something like that. Anyway, the long story short, it's just like cool to just know these things. Like, and we'll get into the Sakura's parents thing too.
Wait,
like, and
that's just fucked up, bro.
anyway, the long story short is I liked this interview. I feel like I'm one of the only people who just was like, yeah, this was cool. I'm glad it happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's a perfect transition to segue to the next interview thing that happened. Last thing I'll say on this one is I thought Hot Boy's tweets about this were either trolling or funny in general. Because he's like, why is everyone freaking out? Kishimoto's always been our weirdo goat. He's posting the thing of like Jiraiya talking about the tight, sexy body and everything. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah. I also saw like Troy said something. He's like, "Why are you guys all getting it like worked up? Every manga is a little bit weird."
Even on Jman's screen right now, the bottom tweet there from Dre. The people shouldn't be surprised if Kishimoto's he made Jiraiya. That's basically the only part of that tweet I can read.
Yeah, Dre was messed up in his own way. I guess he was a little horny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems very divisive online though so far. Some people seem to think that.
What's kind of annoying though is the people who are trying to like power scale pedo-ness of different authors. I'm seeing like this. Oh, well, that's crazy. Nothing compared to Oda, the guy who writes One Piece. I'm like, guys, this is just you shouldn't be doing this. Like, well, Oda's on first on Epstein's list or whatever. It's like, bro, you guys gotta stop. It's just so ridiculous.
Oh my god. To this day, I don't know exactly what Epstein did. I only have the implications. I don't even want to know.
I know this like this Epstein's Island. I honestly, I don't know. I don't keep up with this shit because I'm like, I'm not trying to learn how to be like Epstein. I mean, like, yeah, like, I mean, that sounds heartless to say who cares, and you probably did some really bad thing that we should care about. But like, I don't know, bro. Yeah. I'm not interested.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Like, I'm interested in who won the Olympics this year, or who's the new voice actor for the new Boruto character. I'm not interested in who did naughty things to this kid this year. I don't want to know.
No, bro, that's why I don't like drama YouTubers. Like, all they do is talk about negativity things in drama. It's like, oh my god, can you just shut up? Like, yeah, sure, maybe they have an important place of role of society, keeping people in check or accountable or blah, blah. All you do is post negative videos.
You're not the FBI.
Like, what's the thing about, like, snitches?
I'm acting like it.
Like, it's annoying to watch, so I just don't watch them. Regardless if they're technically good or whatever. But next thing... That's a totally nice to be
the next big thing that I guess would be controversial is the who's writing Boruto stuff.
Okay. Let's just raw reaction to that. If we can pull that up, then I'll be able to see it before we start talking about it.
So the question is, which one would be the best one for you to read to start with? I mean, realistically, there's like... All right, I'm going to pull up all of them so I can like, reference them too. I mean...
Oh my god. At this point, Kamui, do you want to just be the one to share your screen?
Well, I have to refine. All right, Jman, how organized is everything you pulled up earlier?
Not that organized, to be honest. I just got all the things that you told
me. Okay, I'm just going to pull up a few things, and then I'll share my screen.
Yeah, I'll stop streaming.
I mean, at the very least, you got everything. Oh, let me know when you pull it up, I guess.
Okay, so, I mean,
but, so from what I understand, we were right.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. In fact, we were 100% accurate in everything we thought. But yeah, we've been dead on. So
yeah,
And I'll explain how the interesting thing is there's some interesting implications from this that I'll talk about after, but I think I've got enough versions that all say basically the same thing anyway. All right, let me share my screen.
So what we're saying is that everyone who ever said anything against us, we demand an apology. Did that guy on Twitter get back to you ever, Kamui? I'm assuming he didn't say anything.
Oh no,
or he just hate deflect.
I replied to him. I went on my way. I was talking to Naruto Explain in there too for a little bit. I could probably find those. Actually, let me go pull up Twitter. Yeah,
like, I was like recently, as of in context of this.
Like a day or two ago. Hold on, let me actually. How do I find my notifications? Okay. On my phone, it's so much easier to find this shit. How do I? Oh, notifications. Okay.
And by the way, Hot Boy was always with us. He completely agrees, just on his own, coincidentally, without us, that Kishimoto was never the writer. For like the same reasons, just a feeling
with
alone.
What Oodie just said, we are going to explain how this process works as far as Kishimoto's role. So obviously, when it comes to writer, there's different ways you can interpret that. We're gonna go over it. I just want to. I don't like Twitter's thread process. This makes it so confusing.
Yeah.
This doesn't. Okay, I think this has pretty much everything. Okay. So I'm just gonna start with this. Actually, no, hold on. We'll come back to this.
Yeah.
Okay. Is this large enough for you to read? All right, let me do this. Okay. This was, oh, actually, this gets cut off. Let me start with one that has the whole thing. Oh my God, this is so annoying.
Shout out Tabaron for joining the Discord. Link in the description below.
I don't like Twitter.
Really?
Still...
Yeah.
Oh, here's the one that says that she's sexy thing. Okay, I need the part 2 out of 2 probably. So where Okay, here I'm just gonna read different things from various things. So we're just gonna go over every single version of the writing process. How do you work together? Do you collaborate in the drawing, the storyline, or do you work separately? Masashi Kishimoto. In the case of Boruto, I initially wrote the broad outlines of the story, but very succinctly. We then organized a meeting to discuss it. Ikimoto Sensei is really the one who is fully in charge of Boruto. Mikio Ikimoto. At the beginning, Master Kishimoto indeed shared his story with me, but the more we advance, the more different the plot becomes from what was initially planned. Today, I discuss the next part of the storyline with my editor every month. So I think Kishimoto Sensei doesn't yet know what's going to happen next in Boruto. Kishimoto. I just enjoy reading it. This is...
So the farther along it gets, the farther from Kishimoto's original plan it was in any ways. And bro, Kishimoto's not involved, is what I'm hearing. Like, he's talking to his editor month to month, not Kishimoto. He's admitting Kishimoto doesn't know what's going to happen.
Yes. No, okay, this one was deleted, unfortunately. That sucks. Do I have any screenshots of this?
Bro.
This guy deleted... Okay, hold on. I might have screenshots pertaining to this thread. I don't know if I do. I'm just going to check my phone real quick. That kind of... well...
Man, who could have saw that one coming?
Okay, here's another one. I'm just going to read this from my phone. You won't be able to see it because I don't have it on Twitter. First question to Kishimoto Ikimoto was, you worked together for a long time since the beginning of Naruto. Now you guys work in Boruto, how do you mention, blah, blah, blah. For Naruto and Boruto, it's completely different. During Naruto, I wrote and draw the story, and Ikimoto back then was my assistant. He mostly did the background and a lot of clones. On Boruto, Ikimoto's the one that write and draw the story. That's the difference. It's another version. Here's another translation. Okay, I took a screenshot of this. Holy moly.
Will be both on your screen. That'd be
Okay.
helpful.
Yeah, hold
Which
on.
that's
Let
what
me
screen is in.
send these to Discord real quick. This is so annoying. I don't know if this is from that thread or not.
Bro, I just feel validated. Like, I don't even think I need to add anything to this because we've already added everything we could possibly ever want. It's just gloating in victory at this point. Just to be humble.
Literally. Why is not Discord show? This is so annoying. This is the most annoying thing. All right,
I can't believe
freaking airdrop this to my phone. Why isn't my phone showing up
were.
as an airdrop option? Okay, here.
I'm
Boruto
kind of
topics.
surprised
Okay,
they even admitted that. If I'm being honest. Like, that is
there's a lot of things that they've said.
that they're even
And like I
that.
said, they're all gonna say this. I'm gonna go through all of them. Like every version of basically the same thing. Couple more things. There's another short one, which is I thought was funny. Let me find this real quick. Oh yeah, what was it like going from assistant to screenwriter? Actually, the script and broad outline was written from the start. I trust Ikimoto. I almost have never have anything to say when we make decisions about the script, and when he sends me the storyboard, it's very rare that I make changes. All right, that's a short. All right, this one also pertaining to that. As for Boruto, I have no worries because I have written the outline of the synopsis. By the way, a synopsis is a brief summary. So this is saying he wrote the outline of a brief summary, which is even more brief than a summary. Until the end of the story, that serves as a layer for the design, and I've already handed over to Ikimoto. If there are points to be modified, we consult and we move forward by reaching agreement. So there is no problem. And more than anything, every month Ikimoto creates a storyboard with ideas, developments, and characters that go beyond the outline of my synopsis. So even though I check it every month, I almost have no complaints. I have almost no complaints. Ikimoto is someone I trust and who has helped me for a long time, and I knew he was great from the story and blah blah blah. I wasn't planning on making Boruto if Ikimoto didn't take over. Ikimoto goes into some stuff about right. Again, I'm bouncing around, but both Kishimoto's and Ikimoto's responses indicate the same thing. So this serial publication is always evolving, must respond to the times and blah blah blah, especially with long running series. So small changes often took place right from the start. But little by little, the story develops in a different direction from that of the synopsis of Kishimoto. Various factors can explain this. The biggest reason is he wanted to create a new outcome for the shonen part, teenage, and a conception for the seinen part, young adult. Once this was decided, Ada and Damon were born, Kashin Koji's role was renewed, and Amato's escape to Konoha followed. Besides, Code should have been dead a long time ago. In fact, an even more important character was saved. Even if the prior idea is to make the manga more interesting, we are very far from what was initially planned. Currently, I am in the situation of developing the story alone. So I think the biggest challenge in producing Boruto, including for Master Kishimoto, who gives me his agreement, is to continue to respond to successive, unpredictable changes. Was there another one I just posted? Here's another ask. Okay, I'm going to be bouncing around. Like I said, at some point I'll probably ask you guys to read some, but the point is everything we're going to go for the next like 20 minutes is in one way or another indicating that Ikimoto is the main writer you need to focus on. So in speaking character and emotion state Boruto, we know less about the villains' past, having become less forgiving towards enemies. Ikimoto. In Naruto, the antagonist had clear goals and reasons for opposing the heroes, and Mr. Kishimoto fully realized that concept. As for the battles, I couldn't add more to it. I wanted to create villains who are very different from those in the Naruto era. I prefer irrationality in villains and wanted to show their differences compared to the enemies in Naruto. Kishimoto and Naruto, I focus more on the lighter side, while Ikimoto is facing much more complex challenges. Please support him as he navigates this difficult situation. Back to some of my other posts. Did I read this one already? I think I did. Okay, yeah. This is the one that's deleted. Okay. this is the same. Okay, this is getting to the same thing. I want to talk about the implications about Ada, Damon, Kashin, Koji, Code, and Ikwaki later as well. Once I find the Ikwaki part.
Yeah.
As this creator of Naruto, what
I'm
did you
surprised
think
he's in
of
the whole
switching
thing.
from Boruto's supervisor to its scriptwriter? Would anyone like to read the rest of this page for me?
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Starting from here, Kishimoto, concerning Boruto. Now, Nemu is the storyboard at the draft stage with dialogues for reference, like what that is. So he creates, so it's at the draft stage. From there, he creates the storyboard with dialogues. That's the Nemu. It's taking the draft and making it a story, essentially. And then now, I'll let Oodie answer this one. What are the steps when creating a new Boruto character?
Oh, well, Kamui, the first is there's the role of the character. The basic premise is to create a character based on needs. Keep in mind, this is the exact same thing I've said when it comes to character deaths. If Mortal's like, oh, well, who do you think's gonna die next? I'm asking why is anyone gonna die first? Which is exactly
Yeah,
like I
who
should do,
needs to
exactly
die
like
and why
Ikimoto
do
should
they
do.
need to die?
So yeah, so I'll give Ikimoto props. He's not just willy-nilly introducing a character through a theory or whatever. He's first saying, what is the role of the character? That is what he should be doing from a narrative perspective. So I'll give him that at the very least. Yeah, when it comes to Monster, I'm really curious what he thought the role there is, but I guess we'll see in the future. The basic premise is to create a character based on needs. After that, I make sure to give them an unexpected aspect. In Ada's case, she has abilities that would allow her to dominate the world. Interesting. Ada's omnipotent. Moving on. Instead, she prioritizes love and has a silly side to her. There's also the character of Hidari, who evokes Sasuke. On one hand, he displays jutsu and techniques that are reminiscent of Sasuke, but on the other hand, he reveals himself to be totally out of the box and has nothing to do with Sasuke. To sum it up, it's about Gap Mo. What? Okay.
Gapmo, attraction that arises when a
attraction.
person reveals an aspect very different from what's expected of them. This technique allows for an easy expression of what makes people charming. That's what Gapmo means. Okay.
Okay, in that case, it's just contrast or exposition. Yeah, subverting expectations. Sure. I feel like Hidari so far has not been doing that very much, but all right.
Yeah.
The other three
Okay.
I'll get.
What's also funny, okay, this one, we can read it later just for some other stuff. As far as this writing Boruto stuff, though, I'm just going to say the interesting part is this. They're comparing Sasuke and Naruto to Kawaki and Boruto. Kishimoto talks about Naruto and Sasuke. Then Ikimoto's the one talking more about, well, I guess they both talk about Boruto and Sasuke, but in a different way. I guess that's less important. Okay, never mind. I thought I had more versions of the same thing. Oh, here's another one. The way we work is different for Naruto and Boruto. Kishimoto created the story, and Ikimoto drew the backgrounds for Boruto. Ikimoto's the one in charge of the manga. It's his manga. Another translation of that. Okay, here's another one. in oh, my headphones are being stupid. Hold on. I just switched headphones.
Okay. I think it is a very interesting interview. Chat, what do you think? And I do see Unknown Gamer's comment. I will get to you.
Okay. I'm back.
Ooh,
So,
nice.
this one is interesting.
Weird.
Sounds good.
Kinda echoey. If you got two microphones on, come with.
Oh, I have two mics on? What?
They got the echo thing going again that I talk about sometimes. When you have two on, seemingly. Press let's check and then you'll hear it yourself, probably.
One moment.
Or just do nothing and say nothing. Okay, there you are.
Okay.
Okay, you're good.
I'm surprised I wasn't doing it earlier, to be honest, but anyway.
Yeah.
Let me pull this up, make it nice and big. Okay. This is, I don't remember what the question was. I just saw this and I thought it was interesting. And I want to talk about this again from a Kodachi perspective, but Kishimoto says, in Boruto, everything is difficult. Unlike Naruto.
Yeah,
huh?
we can tell.
Oh.
We can tell.
Unlike Naruto, Boruto already has everything. He doesn't have the goal of becoming Hokage. He wasn't as interesting a character at first. I introduced Kawaki to push the plot forward. In the beginning, Boruto was the main character, but now the focus has shifted, and I think that's a good idea. I think that's enough for now to get to the point. Kishimoto is the primary writer of this story, guys. Like, it started, at least for me, it started as a meme, I think, in chapter 1 of Two Blue Vortex. I think I just joked Kishimoto, because before I was just the mystery writer, but I was like, no, I think it's Kishimoto writing as a joke. But no, it's true. In fact, it's even more than that. Kishimoto has had and I want to talk about this a bit more later, but Kishimoto has had a much bigger role in the writing that he was given credit for, even with this in mind. It's the whole series. Like, Kishimoto has been undercredited this entire time, in my personal opinion. And I don't care if it's Viz translation to English being stupid. The Viz translations should not say art by Kishimoto. It should say story by Kishimoto and Kishimoto, and then art by Kishimoto. They're not crediting him the story in the English versions. That's undercrediting this dude. He is doing more than that.
I agree. This isn't a justification, but I will say it makes sense from a business perspective why they are doing it the way they're doing it.
Yeah, but like, either way, don't. Now, obviously, if you're gonna say the writer, Kishimoto does help, even in the writing process, but I've read every version of this. It is clearly implied, in some versions just outright stated, some just implied. Kishimoto wrote this draft at the very beginning. Before the series actually began, he wrote his start to finish draft for the story. So this isn't an ongoing thing. Kishimoto wrote some stuff. From there, once chapter 1 came out, he's really just been supervisor / collaborator who discusses things as, supervisor role, but he's not actively every month writing more. He wrote what he wrote, and now he just discusses with Kishimoto. Now, obviously, they both give input, so he influences the writing. So he does more than just, say, yeah, bro, looks good. But to a large extent, he does just say, yeah, bro, looks good. Kishimoto has a lot of trust for Kishimoto, and he likes his work. As he says himself in his interview, he generally doesn't change anything or disagree with anything. He just says, yeah, go for it, bro. Now, there are some examples of changes. There's the mystery character and then Code, for example. This is only a guess because we don't actually know when Kishimoto was going to kill Code. But if I had to guess, Koba's either going to die in the Kawaki arc, like Boro, or he was going to die at the end of the Code arc or something. I don't think he was getting to the Prophecy arc. I imagine he was going to die in one of those 2 earlier arcs. But Ikimoto wanted to keep him alive, and he convinced him, like, hey, let's keep him alive. But that just goes to show, to some extent, Ikimoto has more power in this sense. And I want Oodie to say his opinion on this as well. But people are, in my opinion, on Twitter, way overestimating what Kishimoto's draft is. Because, as an example, I think I wrote this somewhere. 1 second. I think okay, here. This was just an example of a draft plot point I wrote down. I can find it. Okay, yeah. So, just as an example, with 2 Blue Vortex villains, I doubt Kishimoto, at the start of Chapter 1 of Boruto, wrote the villain of 2 Blue Vortex to be Jura, a divine tree person who evolved into a humanoid form with a mind of his own. Instead, it's probably pretty vague. It's something like, where did I write this? Villain invades Konoha in first arc after the time skip. Boruto is defeated by this villain, then gets captured by Konoha as a result. Even that might be more specific than what he wrote. Don't know. But Kishimoto didn't create Jura or design what Jura was going to be. The most he put was villain. Okay? That's not really writing the story. So, and Naruto explained, we'll go through the Twitter. No, it was a different Twitter thing. Naruto explained, said something. Did I take a screenshot of this? About like the roadmap versus how you get there. Okay, here. They're being disingenuous and pointing to part of what was said. It's basically, hey, I did the outline for it. Ikimoto gets to add his input, and we discuss it. Translation, the destination is the same, but Ikimoto as driver decides how we get there, but Kishi okays his route change. So whereas yes to what he's saying, I do think that downplays the importance of how you get there. How you get there is what makes or breaks this. That's a lot more than what the people who are defending the Kishimoto's role thing. Like, oh, he is the writer, see? Yeah, he does help. But 80% of this is Ikimoto. 99% of the things you're actually talking about in all your YouTube videos is Ikimoto. You're not talking about the fact that the first arc of the time skip introduced a new villain. You're talking about who that new villain is, what their goals are, what their characters are like, how they're influencing the main characters. In other words, everything Ikimoto's doing. But as a screenwriter, Oodie, what do you think this draft would look like as a hypothetical example?
So this is interesting from my perspective. How I would do this if I was Kishimoto, so I'm assuming this is the way that Kishimoto did it, assuming he's acting like a screenwriter, which he usually does, is that I would first draw a draft of all of the major arcs themselves. So, like, you would need a purpose for each arc. So, for example, like, you wouldn't write down the names of the arcs or anything, but like you would write down the point of the arc. Like Ikimoto is doing the role of the character. You would have the quote unquote role of the arc. In fact, I'm gonna assume that Kishimoto didn't include every arc we got, and Ikimoto did some original arcs himself, whether that be the Code arc or the Prophecy arc. I think he did. I think Kishimoto didn't originally have that in his original draft. The way I think of this original draft is, like we were saying, it has a start and an end. The middle is really up to interpretation. Ikimoto himself is literally saying he's basically not following the draft. He's changing it, doing his own thing, not like maliciously, but based on the natural flow of the direction of the story. And like we were saying, Kishimoto has a lot of trust in him. So Kishimoto is completely okay with Ikimoto changing the story, his story, regardless if it's risky or not, because he has faith in Ikimoto to, in the end, do well. Plus, Kishimoto knows where it ends up, anyways. Like, it's sort of cemented in stone. It's literally impossible to change the fact that the flash forward scene is Boruto versus Kawaki. So, no matter what, that beat is gonna be that, regardless of how we get there, regardless of the context going into it. Kishimoto knows that's there. And so he can put his faith in Ikimoto, knowing that's still the direction for him to drive it however he wants to get there. Because again, he believes in Ikimoto, rightfully so to an extent, in my opinion. Considering Ikimoto has been on the team for 20 years, he's been directly working with Kishimoto, so Kishimoto knows him better than anyone else. In fact, this might lead into some bias of Kishimoto in the first place of why he trusts and likes him anyways. I'm not going to say he doesn't have the experience to work in the industry, but I don't think he has the experience to do the role he's doing completely on his own like he is. I'm not saying it's impossible or that this is the worst story of all time or anything, but I think as the essentially what chalks up to the solo writer, Ikimoto is being pushed to his limit. As he said, regardless if it's a mistranslation or a meme or funny or whatever, he says everything in Boruto is hard. So, like, this is something that's difficult for him to do. And with Kodachi gone, he does have to take that role. And, like, the whole Japanese society being about overworking, that's, like, in their culture, I think he is being pushed to do more than what he probably should, especially considering a few years ago, they were literally just complaining about the fact that they just don't have enough staff and that it's so difficult to get the manga out monthly as it is. So I think that's definitely a problem. I think Ikimoto wants to do it because, again, Japanese culture, overwork society, shenanigans. And again, even, like, hypothetically, even if Kishimoto thinks a part is bad, I think he would okay it anyways. I mean, if it's something that, like, obviously it's easy to say, no, change this, that's fine. But I think overall, because he has bias towards Ikimoto, to where he just likes him, as well as having faith in Ikimoto, as well as knowing the end result, it's a lot more easy for him to say okay to something that isn't necessarily fully okay. Like, he's not agreeing that it's good, but agreeing that that he has faith in Ikimoto to do this and to get to the end result, and it's still being, if not good, then at least passable, even if it's not exactly how Kishimoto himself would do it. And as the story's gone on, he said that he's strayed farther and farther away from Kishimoto's original intent. So I don't even think he's even following that original draft really anymore. Like you were saying, Kamui, you think that Kishimoto's original draft is writing a villain invades Konoha in the first arc of Two Blue Vortex. What if the first arc of Two Blue Vortex was the prophecy arc? What if Two Blue Vortex was never meant to exist and this is Kishimoto's like ninth arc or whatever after the prophecy arc? Like, we're so far removed from whatever Kishimoto's original intent was in the first place that it might not even exist at all anymore. I think Kishimoto did write a brief outline, synopsis of the series. I don't think we have that intact at all anymore. He wrote a Boruto. He didn't write the Boruto we're getting at this point at all. I don't even think it's the brief summary anymore. I think it's entirely removed for Ikimoto to write his own story, his soul story.
And that's where it's really tricky without seeing the outline, which they're obviously not going to share with us. Yeah. And yeah, so I mean, he seems to be referencing it. I imagine every month, even if he has drifted off pretty far, I do think he does reference it and see what he can take from it and stuff still. Like, he's still going to try to implement, because, like, as he said, the further along the story gets, the more it drifts away from the draft. That makes it harder to use the draft. So, you know, it's like, we don't know. I don't know if Kishimoto even wrote villain shows up in the first arc of the time skip or whatever. I'm just saying, I don't think it's anything more detailed than that, because how could he? If the story has changed this much, and there's other, I mean, throughout the interview, we'll probably find more about it, but like Ikimoto, it's clear that Ikimoto is creating a lot of these characters. Kishimoto isn't creating Jura. And that alone has so much of not just the plot, but the story to it. Unless Kishimoto said, villain comes by, he has an identity arc that he's going to go through. But that's still vague, and the execution of that is really what we're looking at. So it's like, yes, he's giving a foundation. And really, Kishimoto, they talk about this in some of the interview questions. Kishimoto is seemingly really just trying to be Ikimoto's mentor. Like he's like, bro, I want this to be your manga. I'm just gonna help you succeed, but I'm gonna let this be your story. Like, I'm gonna give you, for example, like Jiraiya with the Rasengan training. I will give you the steps. You're gonna do these 3 water balloons. You are going to figure out how to pop them on your own. That's what Kishimoto's doing. And he's gonna watch you pop the first balloon. Good job. Next balloon. Oh, you popped it? Good job. I like what you did there. Maybe if you're doing something wrong, he'll give you a pointer. Hey, I'm gonna draw the leaf symbol in your hand to help you focus. Like, he's literally being Jiraiya in a sense, and how he's approaching this, which makes sense because Kishimoto wrote Jiraiya, and that's probably like a Japanese style of training. I don't know if that's true, but like that might be like a standard way that they do things. But he's just being the sensei. That they're not calling him Kishimoto Sensei for nothing. Like, that's literally what he's doing.
Yes. So Ikimoto, I think, is first drafting the story, then going to his editor and being like, is this story okay? What needs to be changed? Then afterwards, after he gets like a solidified final story, he goes to Kishimoto and essentially asks for confirmation rather than asking Kishimoto to help or assist or add or adjust the writing process at all. He's asking, is this okay the way it is? And Kishimoto's just gonna say, yeah.
Now, there are times where they do disagree, like I said. Like, I don't want to assume that he only approves everything. Like, they do talk about, like, discussions they have. For all I know, Ikimoto might come into the little meeting room with Kishimoto, and when he's drafting ideas and be like, hey, let's just spitball some ideas, bro. You know, oh, I'm thinking let's have this divine tree person. Maybe Kishimoto says, that's a good idea. Why don't we make Sasuke one of them too? Or why don't we have Moegi be one? Like, yeah, I like that. Like, they might, even that might be involved in Kishimoto's role here, but he definitely is letting Ikimoto lead the way. Every single response in this interview is Kishimoto saying, he's the one mostly in charge. And Ikimoto's going on about the things he does as the person mainly in charge of this story. It's clear as day. Ikimoto, if you're going to credit one person to the writing, your first bet should be Ikimoto. Kishimoto second. Ikimoto, honestly speaking, we don't know everything he does, but Kishimoto is just a little bit more than an editor. And even that's tricky because it depends on how much he does as the supervisor, because Orochimaru wasn't Kishimoto's idea. That's an editor's idea. And that's the major story thing going on there. So editors can play big roles. Don't get me wrong. But does Kishimoto do more of the writing in terms of his original draft or more as his supervisor? We don't really know. But obviously, nobody's going to say the editor who came up with Orochimaru is the writer of Naruto or even the writer of Orochimaru. The editor came up with the villain, and maybe he even said, you know what, we should have him be the sinister snake guy, let's say. But the one who wrote the character was still Kishimoto. That all applies with Ikimoto. Every character Kishimoto may have come up with, maybe he came up with Code. Ikimoto's the one who wrote Code. There's a difference.
I like the way I worded it last time, to where creating ideas is not writing them. It's just making the ideas, not writing the story.
Exactly.
Especially if the ideas aren't even necessarily implemented.
Exactly. We don't know how many things were scrapped and how many things were changed, because apparently a major character, Ikimoto, they never said who. I out of curiosity, I'm wondering who you guys think it could be. Besides, I don't think it's Code, because Code was directly used as an example. But apparently a character more important than Code was kept alive that was also supposed to die? My first guess is Sasuke. Second guess would be maybe Naruto, and that's in reference to a later point, because Kishimoto said we won't tell because of a spoiler. So that tells me that like it could be Sasuke, and the point is we don't know if Sasuke will live or die, or it could be Naruto to say maybe Naruto was supposed to die in the future, but now we know he won't if they spoil it. So we don't really know who that was. But I think it's one of the two, probably. I don't think it's Sakura, who's not even in the
But I
story.
wonder what Jman has to say about that.
About what?
Everything.
Everything?
Everything.
Well, I don't know where to start. I think it makes sense that Kishimoto's kind of just taking Ikimoto under his wing. I mean, if he were to pass on his own like personal franchise to someone else, I feel like Ikimoto kind of deserves it, because apparently Ikimoto's been working under Kishimoto for over 20 years. I think what Kamui was saying earlier, the fact that Ikimoto doesn't get enough credit is true. It's kind of weird how they don't give him too much credit, or at least it seemed like it at the beginning. Or not at the beginning, but when they supposedly changed the person who's overseeing Boruto. I'm not exactly sure when that was, but regardless, I think that Ikimoto is doing a fine job right now. I get what he was saying, where they're kind of working on their villains a bit differently from Naruto, and I'm kind of intrigued to see where it goes on further. But yeah, like what Kamui said, how he's kind of just taking him under his wing like Jiraiya. I mean, it makes sense to me. It's kind of like, what would be another example of that? Well, you could say in Two Blue Vortex, when Boruto was training with Sasuke, and he's like, hey, I got all your Uchiha techniques, like, do you think this is enough? And he's like, well, no, it's not necessarily enough. I just gave you the tools for you to hone them. And
That's a perfect analogy, actually.
yeah, that's
That
what
could
I was
even
kinda
be
thinking.
intentional. I could see them doing a play on like concepts like that.
Yeah, that's kind of how I see it, at least. So yeah, he now has the tools, but it's really up to Ikimoto to utilize everything that he's learned in order to like prosper later on. But yeah, the dry example was great as
Or even
well.
he's learned everything to do, but he hasn't mastered any of it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I think is going on. You guys were talking about just just after that. Someone was supposed to die. And then now he's like not supposed to die. Was he supposedly supposed to die like in the future, or was he supposed to die like previously?
They don't specify.
Okay, well,
For code, they say they should have died a long time ago. For the other one, they just say another character was supposed to die. I don't know if it says a while ago or just in general, which is what they said that they didn't want to say because of a spoiler.
yeah.
So that makes me wonder if that might be in reference to the future, because they didn't say that about code, so I don't know there.
I feel like if it were to be
Man,
anyone,
it's crazy how they
previously,
killed
it would be,
Naruto off, just like I said.
Hoji.
It's wild.
Well, there's a few interest. Okay, so I really don't know what order.
You know,
to talk about.
I said that to make you mad. Yeah, you can't spite me by not getting mad at that comment.
Wait, what comment?
Excuse you.
What'd you say?
Forget
I didn't
it, I'll
hear.
leave it out.
Sorry.
We'll say it again later. Yeah, I'm cheeky. I'm gonna say it again later.
Kurama's a good one.
Okay.
You gotta work it back in naturally now.
Anyway, I don't know what order to go about some of these things, because it's kind of hard to bounce around, but something really interesting though about all of this is the Kodachi part, for several reasons. The first thing is this interview makes us seem like Kodachi never existed. I don't know if anyone else, I guess you guys haven't really read the whole thing, but like, just talking about the writing stuff, Ikimoto saying, I introduced Kawaki, implying that, well, Kodachi had no input on that part. And also, Ikimoto's making it seem like he created Ada and Damon, and Sarada remembers it too. I swear that it was all over Twitter about, oh, Kishimoto's first new original characters when he came back to the Boruto series thing, as if Kishimoto created. So that was just a lie. These were Ikimoto's characters. Like,
I
that
think
was
at the very
weird.
least, regardless if it's Kishimoto's characters or not, I think Kishimoto added his touch onto the characters that were already there. Honestly, I'm pretty sure it's just Kodachi's characters, if I'm being honest.
Well,
They're either lying or it's mistranslation or something.
I don't know. It's weird though, because he says I introduced Kawaki, and so that gets in the question of. So I saw I don't think I had the screenshot, but I saw a thing. I think it was Nart who explained, who posted anyway. That basically said Ikimoto was talking about how Kodachi handled the more delicate parts of the script, which is making me wonder if it gets really okay. There's a lot of confusing things that were when you try to figure out what exactly Kodachi did, because maybe you could say Ikimoto really was like the main story guy this whole time, and Kodachi just polished it up. And then when he was gone, they just removed his polished touch, whatever it was he was doing. But then would you really write him as the script and only art by Ikimoto in that sense? Like, that implies that Kodachi's the main writer when you do the credits like that, versus the other way is just like he's almost like an editor, but like more than an editor. It's like weird. It's and the other thing is, so Kodachi's famous tweet about he's handing the reins back to Kishimoto and Ikimoto. That's not the important part. The important part is the publishing team saying the serialization will continue based upon a Masashi Kishimoto's original drafts. This is the thing that people took and ran with, especially with this context of this interview. Original drafts is literally just the original drafts he already wrote. What that's saying is, we're just going to keep doing what we were already doing. We're not changing anything other than removing Kodachi. It's all that said. That's actually what that means. But what's interesting, though, is that begs the question of, was Kodachi, assuming he played the bigger role in writing over Ikimoto, was he more closely following Kishimoto's draft? Or was he really just doing his own thing, and now Ikimoto's trying to come back to the draft? Like, what aspect do you think was happening there? Who do you think is more closely following Kishimoto's draft, Kodachi or Ikimoto?
That's interesting. I think just based on time-wise, it seems, from what I've seen, it's probably Kodachi was following the beats closer, but I think Kodachi was doing more of his own story, whereas Ikimoto is almost the opposite, which is weird to say. Ikimoto's drifting away from the main draft while simultaneously trying to keep it as Kishimoto-esque as possible.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really tricky. Because they mentioned, like, what's also interesting, though, is, like, he's talking about Kashin Koji's role being renewed, Aiden Damon being created, Amato's defection to Konoha. These were all things that happened, minus Aiden Damon, when Kodachi was still a part of the team. So was Kodachi, like, what was this man's actual role then? Was he, because clearly it was something big, because we've all talked about it. There is a clear difference in this writing pre and post Kodachi. So it wasn't, and it's bigger than just tweaking the dialogue. He did something more. I don't know what order he did things. Did he? I mean, what do you? Okay, so Ikimoto, this interview is making it clear Ikimoto has always had a presence with the story. But what order? Did Kodachi come in before or after Ikimoto? Who was like the last step? So Kishimoto's the first draft. Who was second and who was third?
Okay. I'm gonna say that. Oh, that's interesting. I see what you're saying. Either way, I think Kodachi developed it he took the idea and he wrote it, regardless if Ikimoto expanded on that idea or not.
Yeah.
Because Ikimoto is the artist. Either way, he is the final person to touch
That's
it.
what I was gonna say,
In
because
fact,
he does
that's
the
also-
Nemu and stuff, so I'm like, he has to be the final, but at the same time, it seems like Kodachi also may have done something afterwards, so I don't know.
Well, they aren't saying that he did the Nemu since the very beginning, right?
The interview's implying that I mean, the fact that he's saying, I introduced Kawaki is kind of implying, like, and among other
Well,
things he says.
I'm not even going to say that's necessarily a mistranslation. It could be, but there are just other interpretations of that based on Japanese itself. So I introduced Kawaki could mean that he's the one who drew Kawaki. He introduced him into the manga by drawing him. He wrote him.
Yeah, but he's saying the reason, but he's saying why he introduced him, which like that's a writing. That's not the I drew Kawaki, in chapter 24. He's saying I introduced Kawaki when I did because blank, which means he's either lying or that wasn't Kodachi's idea to do that.
But that's, again, like at this point, they're already in deep with other lies. We can't put it past them to lie about any or all of this.
It's sad to say.
That's the problem as well. Because, like, again, they're not even mentioning Kodachi. Why?
Exactly. So that's where it's tricky. I'm like, are they just trying to like not mention him because of whatever he did?
Yeah. Like, it could be a thing to where they literally are just told you're not allowed to mention him.
Yeah. Which is
I
tricky.
do want to read a chat really quick. So, pulling the chat up on screen if we want to do that really quick. Scrolling up just a little bit, we have a comment from Unknown Gamer 37. This was a little bit a while ago, but except they are both co-writers, except those were mistranslation. So, Unknown Gamer 37, the certified native Japanese speaker here, who just has the raw documents, and he was there, as a matter of fact. How was your trip to France, by the way, Unknown Gamer 37? Did you get all your shots before you left? Did you come home sick, or are you healthy? Are you in good Please tell me, Unknown Gamer 37, are you jet lagged right now? Is that why you're not commenting in chat afterwards? Out of curiosity.
Bro, Jman's visuals go crazy. He ain't wrong. Look at that Kirin background you got going on.
Man, I've been going crazy all night. I've been using multiple. Wait, not this one. You see it?
Yeah, dude. This is awesome.
Yeah, and I also was using this one.
Invincible says Kishimoto did write the first drafts, right? I'm not even going to count them as drafts if it's just an outline or whatever it is that they described it as. That's not a draft of a story. That's not even a vomit draft. You have to actually write it. It's not written.
Because the drafts he speaks of have been referred to as an outline over and over again. That's not a first draft of the complete story. That is like a outline. It's like anyone who has done an outline for like a story or anything in writing in school, like the teacher made you do it. You know that that's not that specific. There's a lot of things not there.
Yeah. And so I'll even go as far to say, Kamui, what you were saying earlier, I don't even think necessarily the outline included the theme of each arc.
I don't know. Like it could be less than that. That's what I'm saying, bro. He says major plot points too. He never says themes and stuff. He never mentions that.
Like, assuming he wrote the Code arc at all, I don't think he wrote this arc talks about love. So, like, hypothetically, let's just assume the Pain arc was written in Boruto. I know a weird example, but just for this hypothetical. I would assume Kishimoto would write, the reason this arc exists is because this is like talking about overarching the narrative purpose of this arc in the first place. The reason this arc exists is so that Naruto can relate to Sasuke, and that can be his one and only note about the pain arc. We don't even need a name of the pain arc. It's just arc 3 in this outline. This is just what he plans to do in arc 3. The big central focused thing overarching wise of why this arc would exist in the first place. Obviously, it's a lot more complex than that, as we know. Pain is a character that exists. Jiraiya dies. That's things that happen. Sage mode, etc., etc. Themes of the arc, cycle of hatred, etc. There's so much there. But like when you boil it down to the most simple idea of why this arc was written in the first place, instead of just skipping straight from Shikamaru killing Hidan to the 5 Kage Summit, the reason this exists is so that Naruto can say to Sasuke at the 5 Kage Summit that I understand you because of what happened in the pain arc. You need that there to connect those ideas. This is about having a full puzzle and fitting in the puzzle pieces. What Kishimoto's doing is he's crafting the full puzzle by identifying the puzzle pieces, not the shape of them, not how large they are, not the texture or indented details within the puzzle pieces, but the puzzle and how many pieces are there in the first place, and I guess just why is my guess.
Yeah, and like I said, we'll never know for sure, but the long story short is this is an outline, and well, yes, I think it's fine to say co-writer, and it would be fine if it said, I actually think it probably should say something like this, story by Mikio Ikimoto and Masashi Kishimoto. I think it would be fine to give Kishimoto some of the story credits, the same way that in the Sasuke Retsuden, it has whatever the author's name is, and Kishimoto. I'm gonna be honest, Kishimoto probably didn't play that much of a role in the writing of that story. Probably just got his name attached to it for approving it. But he probably plays a bigger role with the Boruto's writing, in all honesty. And he's fine if you want to credit him, but like the story should be credited to Ikimoto first. Like he's doing most of the work.
Yeah. What I'm curious is where he's even getting this from, or if he's just making it up. Like, genuinely, not even like a hate thing. If you have anything at all, I'd be interested to see it. Because, again, we're not saying that it's translated perfectly either. Because, like, even the Sarada thing, it's not about sexy. In fact, I have the Japanese pulled up on my screen. If we want to go back to that, I can share my screen if you want, Kamui. But, like, we just have this as our interpretation, translation, or whatever. And some people have commented on it to say when it is or isn't a mistranslation. If there's nothing here, then I'm just going to interpret this, regardless if it's the translation or not, but it's the only thing we have to analyze in the first place. So we're not analyzing the interview, the primary source. We're analyzing this secondary source as the only thing we have. So we're analyzing these translations.
Granted though, like I have like 5 different translations or different comments that all lead us to the same direction. So like different translation of a different comment that implies Ikimoto's the main writer. Like I think it's pretty. They're kind of like okay.
If they're all saying the same things, but they're all technically saying different things, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, real quick, so I can walk away to make some croutons, and then you can show your screen. I just want to go over this Twitter thread. So this was funny. This was old, July 31st. Getting to the actual point, you obviously don't actually listen to the podcast. What we said is that Kishimoto likely writes the outline / general direction of the story, while Ikimoto has taken over the script that Kodachi previously did, which explains the disparity between Boruto manga and Minato manga and stuff. No, bro, everything in the script is Kishimoto, not Ikimoto. The dude ain't Toyotaro where he helps Toriyama. That ain't the case. Y'all podcasts can't even do proper research. Y'all making up stuff now. What's funny is how everyone on Twitter is comparing this to the Toriyama thing. In light of the recent interviews with Kishimoto and Ikimoto, we told you Ikimoto was handling the script now. Kishimoto wrote an original draft that is merely an outline before the series even started. Since then, he's been the supervisor while Ikimoto handles the writing. What's funny though is this guy, Hunky Joshua, I got the notifications. He liked some of my messages. throughout this.
I love it.
Naruto explained, which is how it's been, ... even when Kodachi was writer. He makes changes to the story draft when he does the Namu. The changes made are discussed at the second meeting each month, and decisions are made before it's inked. He's always had input barring approval. This is an old interview. As for Boruto's plot, do you consult together to decide on the story, or does she take care of everything? I don't know who she is supposed to be. In general, the three of us, which is including Kodachi, do everything together. The more delicate parts are reviewed by Kodachi, but in the end, all three of us, or rather all four of us, including the editor, decide how the story should continue. So just to say that they all decide things together. It's not one person making all the decisions. But this is interesting though. The more delicate parts. I'm curious just what that actually means. It probably just means he's the main writer.
Usually, in Japanese, they don't usually specify gender, so that's probably just the translator assuming right there.
Yeah. And I said, yes, thank you. They always discuss things together before publishing, but now Ikimoto has largely just consumed Kodachi's previous role of handling the delicacy of the script, because I don't know what that means. Even back then, Ikimoto had the ability to suggest the creation and death of characters if he wanted. And that's the shit fans on both sides of this argument don't get. It's always been a collab, which is how it is anytime there are two parties, writer and artist. The writer lays out the outline, the artist makes changes, they discuss and modify. That's what's going on now. It's two cooks. I asked him basically, should it say story by Kishimoto and Ikimoto instead of art by? He didn't really answer the question that I was trying to ask, but he said, that's why I said it was a collab. Having free reign to adjust the Namu and debate changes like killing out characters, lowering the tone of the show, he's viewed as an equal. Kishi didn't give Okubo, this is the guy from Samurai 8, this much room. There's no need to redraw storyboards like in Samurai 8 and whatever these are. I was trying to ask him, should it say story by Kishimoto and Mikio Ikimoto instead of art by Ikimoto, which I think yes. And then Hunky Joshua, thumbs up, ... Yeah. How does it feel to be wrong, Hunky Joshua? Everything in the script, huh? Yeah, suck it.
Kamui, what I need you to do, not want, I need you to do this. I need you to take a screenshot of this and post it as a community poll. Or post, I should say.
Just like,
just to really rub it in.
Yeah. I think this is all we really...
Yeah, just those three alone is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like how it's a whole month later, too. Just like, July 31st, August 20th.
Yeah. The craziest part about this to me, this has all been known information. Even, I mean, technically confirmed information since it's in that interview. We just got it reconfirmed. And re-clarified.
For the most part, yeah. Everything, like, people are complaining this is all information that's been known. But it's more like this was finally just confirmed, like, in clear dialogue, what they're doing. And so it wasn't any speculation. It's like, no, this is just straight up how it works. Which, again, if you go back and look at all the things about Kishimoto's original role, which is what we talked about last stream, it was always just his original draft and supervising. That's always been his role. Kishimoto never changed his role when Kodachi left. And that's where there's a little bit of a misleadingness, and it's mostly Twitter people saying things that makes it seem a certain way. Because I'll be honest, most people probably heard it and ran with it when they heard that, oh, Kishimoto's writing now. I didn't think to look into it. Oh, when I heard it from Naruto Explain, For Never World, Anime Ball Z, every single person under the sun, I just heard it and said, oh, that's cool. And I considered it Kishimoto's writing until the prophecy arc, really, when I said, there's no way this is Kishimoto's writing, especially when the Minato manga came out. That's what cemented it. It's like, this can't be Kishimoto's writing. This is not how he writes, clearly. This is just confirmation. And that's why everyone was like pretty sold on it. But granted, you had Anki Joshua and plenty of other people probably commenting on our videos about how wrong we are. There you go, guys. We were right.
Something I'll comment on is the terminology. We haven't been using this, but the feel of the story, that like Kishimoto's story and Ikimoto's story feel different. That's an undescribable thing, undefinable thing, I should say, called the artist's signature. And it's not like a literal signature. I don't mean Kishimoto writing his name or anything. It's the way certain artists write a story that you can just tell which artist it is.
Yeah.
Again, I understand Boruto is literally a different series from Naruto, but Kishimoto's signature is both on Naruto and Samurai 8. I don't mean a literal
And the
signature.
Minato
I
manga.
mean you can and the Minato manga. Yeah, you can tell it's written by Kishimoto because Kishimoto writes in a certain style, a certain type of way that you can just feel it. Maybe not through any individual moving part, maybe not the dialogue, maybe not the characters, maybe not the
Even
plot,
that,
the
though.
direction. But it's all of these things moving together, all the moving pieces of a car, robot, whatever, that make the full mechanical object itself.
There's even like small things like just the way the types of characters Kishimoto might create, the type of humor he uses. They tend to be in certain ways. It's just like he's just being himself. And it's just like when that's different in this other story, it's like especially when like 3 out of the 4 he does it a certain way. Now granted, if in each one Naruto, Minato manga, Samurai 8 were all drastically different, then you could say you wouldn't know. But the fact that they're all so similar in that sense, it's like, okay, like this is clearly the way he does things.
Yeah. Jman, thoughts?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm not sure why people are so upset with Kamui on Twitter, but you got to make sure to make a community post about that. I love getting petty. It goes right up my alley, so yeah, you should go for it.
I love it, bro. It's hilarious.
Yeah, there's a lot of people
Absolutely.
mad about this interview.
So-
I will say, like I've seen some, but not just the
Yeah, I
sexy
can tell.
thing, but like the whole now it's fueling the haters because they know Kishimoto's not writing and stuff. Like people are so mad about this interview.
Yeah, it's kind of lame.
Mhm.
I said we haven't
Yeah.
even gone to the other
Well,
stuff
you
about
just
the
said-
interview that I just liked. But I stopped sharing my screen so you can
Honestly,
do
who's
your
the
thing.
writer of each part? I think, yeah, I know. I think we are just correct. Based on the artist signature, Kishimoto, Kodachi, and Ikimoto have their own unique artist signature, but by definition of how the artist signature works conceptually anyways. And you can feel that Naruto feels different from Boruto through the Kawaki arc, and that the rest of it feels different from Boruto for the first part.
Yeah.
So I do think it's the main writer. There are just 3 different main writers at 3 different times. It's Kishimoto, then Kodachi, then Ikimoto.
Yeah.
Even
And I
if
think-
the others are involved at every step along the way.
Yeah, so when it says Kodachi handled the delicate parts of the script, I think that's just a paraphrase way of saying he was the main writer. Like
Yeah.
Ikimoto, puts his input in. Like they have their meetings where they discuss things, but like the main guy was Kodachi. So it's fair to say if you want to say he was the writer, I think that's fair to generalize. Just as now, it's fair to generalize Ikimoto as the writer more than Kishimoto, because Kishimoto's really more like an assistant.
In fact, I'm practically. This is ironic how coincidental exact this is. And not just to like shout out my own thing, shameless plug, but False Perfections. I'm making my own story. I'm the creator. I'm in almost the verbatim exact same role. The one difference is that in this case, Naruto and Boruto would be going on at the exact same time rather than one concluding after the other or whatever. You know what I mean? So I have a guy. So I'm currently making False Perfections, the main series. I have a guy, a friend called the Bombers, a fellow creator, and I reached out to him and it's like, I love your work. And then we became friends. And then he reached out to me and is like, I'm gonna keep making my work, obviously, but I want to do it in the False Perfections universe. So I'm Kishimoto and he's Ikimoto in this case. I trust this guy already because I love his work. I know the type of work he can do. He can do good work. He can do good work for this series as a side series, his own thing. I love the fact that he's doing his own thing instead of following a False Perfections formula and then it just happens to be in the same universe. But it like expands on the lore. It just builds the franchise bigger, basically. So with this, he looks to me to make sure the lore and everything's consistent. Basically, I'll just tell him if something just blatantly goes against something that's already been clearly established, like in the series Bible. Like I think you've heard me talk about this before, Kamui. The Bible, the series Bible, yeah. So like I'll just tell him if something is just verbatim impossible. But 95% of the ideas is just stuff he comes up with. Sometimes we'll get in a call and yeah, we will spitball ideas, but like it's more so me reacting to his ideas and adding on top of it to make my own ideas rather than me coming to him with like, hey, this is my own original idea that I want you to implement into your story of my universe. So it's crazy because again, he'll send me the script and stuff, not for me to go in and verbatim change. Sure, there's some things sometimes that I'll do, but overall, he's sending me the script for my thumbs up, for me to approve it or tell him what to change. Not for me to change it, but for him to change it. I'll just let him know what to change, and he will be the one to rewrite it. So it's almost
which is probably what
perfect
Kishimoto does
the way
too.
this works. Exactly.
Yeah, that's literally
again. Like I'm speaking from experience, first-hand experience. This is how not only the writing process works, but how friends work in writing stuff together. This is almost verbatim, the exact same thing, to an almost degree of which is hilarious. It's like there's a hilarity to this. In fact, I want to get Bombers on the podcast at some point. I've talked to you about this before, but they've talked about this for a freaking year. He's a little bit burnt out right now, so he's not currently making. He's making like his season or series finale, but he's going to keep working with the series on the main series itself. But like he's done with his side series. He planned for 3 seasons, but it's just going to be this one. But that's okay. Either way, it's still great, phenomenal work. And again, because I have trust in him, it's not just that. I want to see him succeed as like a mentor student. What if anything? I look up to him because I think he makes better work than I do, just on his own content alone. But he wants to make stuff for my series, so I'm like, sure, I love that. And he's my friend. We're working collaboratively together on it. But again, it's his ideas for his own series. He's the one making the drafts and everything, and it's fitting into False Perfections. But like, it's his work, so much so to the point that I want to leave it as much as his work as I can. If I start going in and changing things willy-nilly, even if they would be technically more correct or consistent or whatever with False Perfections, I'm willing to make the risk of him adding new things. He's essentially taking the series Bible and he's not creating his own, but he's adding like another half to it. Almost like Sai's book, how I write the left half and he writes the right half and they sort of coincide into one book together entirely. That's basically what's happening here. Where he's just making his own series Bible that doesn't contradict mine, rather
that's
than
cool.
using
I like that.
Right? Yeah, I definitely think it's cool. Because his story, it's his own main character, and it like collabs with the characters from False Perfection, but like he's telling his own story with his own themes. And his own story is like separate from the one from False Perfection's the main story, but like it takes place at the same time, and the events of one another intertwine in a really interesting way. So it's still like canon and everything, but like he added concepts that I've even taken myself and implemented into my own series, or taken concepts that like I had already implemented, not even just ideas that I had in concept in the outline, and he's fleshed those ideas out so that I no longer have to do that. I just have the fleshed out concept that can now be implemented where I already planned to have implemented it anyways. Just taking an idea of the world and adding rules to make it consistent with the world in a way that works for the story that I wanted to tell anyways. He basically just did the work for me in that regard. But yeah. But again, because I like this guy, I trust him, I want him to be able to do his own work, I feel obligated from my own perspective, even this is technically my own series, to just trust him. Even though change is scary or whatever, he's doing things that I never would have thought of doing, things that I would have even actively gone against. And some things I just let him do because I trust that in the end, this will be the correct decision and direction for the series to go. Because again, change is scary. I'm like, I wasn't going to think about this. I don't even know if this is okay to implement. But this isn't not okay to implement it. And because it's him, I'm going to say okay to this. I like it. Let's do it. So yeah. So it's
I feel
implementing
like
some
that's
really
like
risky
too
experimental
perfect of a
things.
comparison.
I know, bro. It's
Like
crazy.
that really
It's
sell-
experimental. I
That
know,
really
bro.
like
It's literally not like
sells like that.
identical.
That's definitely what he's thinking.
Yeah. Like
Probably
I'm
more
telling
of
you
the
my
master
personal
student
feelings
aspect than
about
yours,
it.
but like otherwise the same.
Mm-hmm. Like even so much so to the degree that I'm, because obviously like I'm not some billion-dollar Viz corporation. I don't have people who have bought my IP. I can do whatever I want with my series. To an extent, I'm making the selfish personal decision more than the optimal business decision, which also goes along with this. I think Kishimoto's
Yeah, I
sort
think
of
he's
more
doing the
so
same.
forced down a certain line. Yeah. Like it's still on this side, but he's a little bit more so down the middle in that regard because he literally like has to be to an extent because he has
Yeah, but no,
stockholders
but
or
what I meant
whatever
was
problem.
from a business side though, I think he's making like the I hate to say it, but the worst business decision because if Kishimoto was like writing it, it would probably be better for business.
Yeah. Um, Something else I'll add really quick on the outline idea. I think Kishimoto not only wrote it originally, the original outline, but I think he's also changing it a little bit as time goes on. Not to make it his own, but to add on to how Ikimoto's changed it. For example, I think Kishimoto's original concept, his outline, draft, whatever, it did not include Kurama coming back. I don't even know if it included Kurama dying in the first place. But I think Kishimoto added that back in.
Or I mean, for all we know, that was
Somewhat.
Ikimoto. I mean, this it wouldn't be a spoiler, so that's why I don't think Kurama was who they were referring to. But hypothetically, that could have been Ikimoto who convinced them to bring back Kurama. Like we don't know.
It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah.
Because like I mean, they're saying was it even more important? And again, I'm thinking not because that's not a spoiler. Like we already know he's back. Um, unless they're trying to spoil like not spoil whether he's gonna die again, but like that'd be kind of silly though. Keep him alive.
Yeah, it would be silly to speculate when it's obviously Naruto, which is the reason that Kishimoto took back over and fired Kodachi because he was going to kill Naruto. But yeah, so moving on back to the Sakura thing. Here, I'll share my screen. So,
You mean
okay, so
Sarada?
Jman, if you want to. That is what I was saying earlier. Yeah, I know it's a shot in the dark. It's a long ball there. I think Sarda would be an interesting character if he just did kill her off at the end of part one. Do the scar some other way, or have it be a consequence of Sarda dying.
I mean, it would definitely be interesting. It
But
would definitely work for the losing everything. I just couldn't see them ever
yeah,
going through with it that early
I
anyway.
think they could if they're doing it at the end of part one, because that's the end of a story. Like they could have killed Choji off.
Yeah, I I mean, part of it's
Either
just the
character arc.
feel. I mean, for me, I've always felt like Sasuke was the one out of all the characters to die at the end of part one.
With the way we
My
got
my
it, I don't know about the original outline,
yeah. Well,
especially if they weren't going to include the code book.
my picks for Kishimoto was either Naruto or Sasuke was the one. But if I had to pick like two characters to be potentials, those are my picks for who Ikimoto said, no, let's keep him alive.
So, okay, this was assuming they weren't talking about code, anyways. But either way, they did mention code. I do want to say, regardless of when he
Well,
was
they weren't
originally
talking
going
about
to
Code
die,
because they said an
I
even more important character than Code. So they were talking about a second character.
sure, whatever. Well, based on this interpretation, but yeah. So I definitely think they very, very quickly after Kodachi decided to keep Code alive. It was a very sudden decision because I'm pretty sure when they wrote Code getting Ishiki's prophecy, the reason they wrote that is because they changed their mind. And I don't think that scene was originally supposed to be there at all.
Yeah,
It
because
does
I
go a
feel like it
little
would
bit
be
weird in that
weird.
place as well.
I honestly, so I'll leave it as a potential possibility, but I do think it would have been weird if he was meant to die in the code arc because it's like, I guess you could just have Kawaki kill him. Okay, so let me rephrase. If Code was going to die in the code arc, I don't think the Liminers thing would have been a thing. He would have just been the next strongest after Jigen because of his white karma. And his white karma just wouldn't make him as strong, blah, blah, blah. He would just be killed when Kawaki regains karma. That'd be the end of it. Alternatively, which is arguably more realistic, he was just going to die in the Kawaki arc, just like Boro. Maybe Sasuke would have had a 1v1 with him, like Naruto versus Delta, kind of thing.
Which is what a lot of people were anticipating in the first place.
Exactly. Because Naruto got a versus Delta, Sasuke never got something like that. And of course, Team 7 would get their fight against Boro, so that doesn't take away from them either. The question is when in the Kawaki arc they would have done that.
Either when Code pulled out Damon, that he just wasn't going to do that, and he was going to die in the same way Garo did, which would have been very symbolic considering Boruto.
That's what I was going to say. In that case, I think the Limiters probably wouldn't have existed because everybody would have been pissed about that.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm saying something very specific here. I'm not saying they changed their mind and then wrote this as a natural where the direction of Code's character that they're going to go in. I think they included Ishiki going to talk to Code because they changed their mind on Code dying.
Yeah.
And so
like
this sort of cements the fact that he's not going to die. Yeah. Like, hypothetically, if Code just never was planned to die, I don't think they would have included this. If they just had this direction in mind for Code anyways. I don't think they would have included that scene.
What are
regardless of direction.
Hypothetically, then what would Code's motivation be? Like, would he just be like, "Oh, to kill him" without the message? Like...
Well, it could be the same thing. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like, you don't even need
the arc
If anything, you do the same scene in a flashback. If anything, you could have gave it to him when Jigen tells him to go guard the 10,000 in the dimension.
Yeah.
You could have had the 10,000 be the one talking to him as ridiculous as it is. Or he could have just known through whatever means. I don't care how. Maybe Koji told him, maybe Amado told him. He just knows somehow that Ishiki died. Maybe he saw it through a claw mark. He just felt it in the air. It was his intuition. And so he's just going to go kill people because he's mad or whatever. Or even the fact that Jigen never came to check on him or whatever. He has to go back eventually. He's not just going to starve to death sitting after the Tendels. He'll go back, realize Jigen's dead, and then put the pieces together from there, go after revenge. He doesn't even have to go after Ada and Damon, considering that's a whole different thing. He could have just
in that case, that's what makes it interesting. Is like, where are they going to take the story? Would the prophecy arc just be like just Kawaki just gets to it, like the Boruto stuff, I guess?
Yeah. Jman, what do you think they were going to do with Code if you had to make a theory?
Besides keep him alive?
Yeah, so the alternate version where he's not kept alive.
Yeah, no, he definitely just does
the original version
and just dies, bro. And like what Kamui said, I guess they probably wouldn't introduce the limiters either, because then why even introduce it at all if he's just gonna die anyways? But I don't know. Do you guys really think that Code was always supposed to die? Like, I never really saw it like that ever.
Yeah.
Oh, according to the drafts in the interview.
Well,
I think it does make sense because he's like the random last inklings of Kara. Like, I understand Ada and Damon are technically Kara or whatever. I think that they really honestly only are because Code is still around. If like in the original drafts, I would imagine, assuming Damon and Ada were written, they were just the next people. They aren't related to Kara. It was just the next arc.
I mean, according to the interview, Kishimoto came up with them as part of the story's changing direction. So... I
Exactly.
don't think
Yeah.
they were even
So
in the draft.
not even Aiden and David, just whoever the people next would have been. It wasn't going to be related to Kara, in my opinion. It's only related to
Actually,
Kara because Code is.
Actually, yeah, because in light of that, I was gonna say, as far as Kishimoto's draft slash Kodachi's draft, either the prophecy arc or Two Blue Vortex could have been more about those two stone tablet Otsutsuki instead.
Ooh, that's a good theory.
Yeah, that as well. But because it felt like they were trying to get rid of Kara and move on, they took out all of the other members of the organization, including the leader himself. And all of the code stuff of the limiters and all that, that's afterwards. Up to that point, Code was just a member, same as Boro. Like,
Yeah,
Imagine just hypothetically, alternate universe. Boro was the only surviving member of Kara. What we know about Boro now is not going to mean anything to us.
yeah. I mean, like realistically though, Code was all the same as Boro until the Boro fight. Like just the other member.
Yeah. So I don't think that was a thing they were doing.
Which is why
Like,
I'm kind of
hypothetically, Kakuzu lived. I don't think they would have just kept Kakuzu alive for more arcs afterwards.
yeah. So I'm thinking, honestly, the most realistic answer is probably Code would have just fought Sasuke. Because he's talking about fighting the Hokage, he probably would have just fought Sasuke, who's equal to the Hokage, and lost like Delta.
Especially considering, like, Sasuke's reaction to Naruto in the Ishiki fight or Momoshiki fight, to where, like, he's looking at Ishiki, he's like, oh, that bastard, he's gonna kill Naruto, he's gonna rip his chest. Like, he's very clearly trying to, like, protect Naruto already, he just can't do it in that moment. If Code comes next arc, Sasuke's definitely following through on protecting Naruto there.
Yeah,
Especially
like one
if
arc or
Naruto does
another.
lose Kurama. Yeah. Like, even if you kill Sasuke here through Code or whatever, take him out of the story, have him be bitten by the divine tree, whatever you want to do, he would probably have fought Code, even if Kawaki gets the kill on him.
I mean, honestly, they
But I
they
wonder
said
what
a
the
long
Kawaki
time
thinks.
ago too, to be fair. So like, that kind of makes me lean towards just the Kawaki arc. Like,
Okay. Kido, we're talking about the Kishimoto interviews in case you wanted to come on. If not, you can just listen. I'll let you up. You raise your hand. But yeah.
I'm thinking honestly,
Oh,
they also played a role in Jigen's like an involvement and just like directly go into Kawaki because maybe Delta loses, she doesn't die, but then Code dies or something, and then Jigen's like, all right, that's enough. Koji ain't doing shit. Like,
yeah.
who knows? So
Like, hypothetically, assuming the Code arc was supposed to be about love anyways, the fact that Ada is like love and an antagonist kind of role in that arc anyway, you don't really need Code to randomly be a love guy anyways. Just have Ada be the love antagonist going in this case. You don't really need Code to fulfill his role. Too many characters. Have it be whatever you want. What do you think, Kido?
Yo, what's up?
Well, while Kido's thinking of an answer.
he said, "What's up?" What do you mean?
Yeah.
What's
Hello.
what's the question?
Well, we were hoping you could tell us.
Code original plans.
Yeah. So,
Oh, you mean
you've
when,
read the
when he was
interviews,
supposed
right?
to die?
Yeah. So
Some of
when
it.
and okay, have you? So I'm guessing it seems like you understand, but basically Ikimoto says Code was supposed to have died a long time ago, but he wanted to keep him alive, blah blah blah. So when and how do you think Code was supposed to die originally in Kishimoto's draft?
I think it was during the Momoshiki fight. I think Momoshiki was supposed to kill him with the
Oh, like in the
Rasengan and
Code
stuff.
arc?
Yeah. So he was
Oh,
because
interesting.
I,
Okay.
I don't see who would have come after
That
Ishiki.
could have worked too, yeah.
So like someone had to, and then there you have the promotional material. Of course, you could argue like when they decided to, we don't know exactly when he decided not to kill Code, so like that doesn't prove anything really. So
Yeah.
I think the Momoshiki fight makes sense. Like he could like easily just die in that fight, and like nothing
Mhm.
would change. So
That's
it's
another
like,
good one.
They were
I think the
setting that up a
three
little bit too.
the three best ones I
yeah.
think are Kawaki arc versus Sasuke, Code arc versus Borushiki, or Code arc versus Kawaki. Probably the main three guesses.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So again, you can call it conspiracy theory if you want. I think the code arc wasn't in the original outline. At
Hmm.
least not the way it is right now. Definitely not. It might not exist at all. Might have just gone from the Ishiki arc straight to the prophecy arc. Um, I think it's very likely. This is a little bit less of an optimistic view, but very likely that Code's fight was intended to take place between Delta and Jigen.
Hmm.
I think that's especially true if Sasuke's involved, but less so if it's Borushiki or Kawashiki.
I guess
Yeah.
it could make
Especially
sense
considering Sasuke
because
was at the Tento's mention.
they also mentioned that Ikimoto created Ada and Damon. So like the entire code arc even if it existed in the original draft, it's completely different from what we saw since those characters didn't exist. So I think it could make sense that it happened, during the Ishiki, because based on how they did it, these guys were like villains of the week. You have like Naruto fighting, Delta. You have, Team 7 fighting Boro. It's like just an incremental thing. They even fought Kashin Koji, right? The only person they didn't fight is
Yeah,
Code. So I guess you could, yeah,
exactly.
it could make sense. Yeah.
Wait, Ko is really the same as Boro. He was one of the two guys dissing on Delta for losing to the Hokage and saying they wanted to fight him next. It wasn't like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, people were theorizing, oh, he's really strong because of that, but you don't have much to compare with
People were
other
saying the same
than
about
the
Boro.
same as Boro. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like Code. So they have like layers of importance of Kara members. You have Victor at the bottom, and if you want to throw, I guess, Deepa and the other filler girl in there, I guess you can. As well as the Enters, I guess, technically below that, but like not really in terms of narrative, but like. Um, then you have like Code, Delta, and Boro, who are on the same middle strung. Then you have the important characters: Jigen, Amado, Koji. If you want to throw Kawaki in there, sure. But I don't think I'll do that.
But even Amado, he wasn't important. Because I think they also said that he wasn't supposed to go to the village. Like I think they
that was
implied that he
weird.
was also supposed to die. Um,
Yeah, that made me
yeah, he
curious.
wasn't.
Ikimoto's making it seem like that was his idea to have him defect to Konoha. I was like, really?
Yeah, that's what he said. So I'm like, you know, it's like Kishimoto wanted to like end the entire Kara, just kill everyone. Like I don't know who would have
Yeah, I
come
think
next.
so, honestly. It does
The
feel
two
like
stone
they're
tablet
trying to move
Uzuki,
past
bro.
Kara
That's
after
gotta
this
be it
arc.
then. No one else.
Yeah.
Because I feel like at the midpoint, that's where the story really shifted to where now we have to focus on these important Kara members. The second Jigen stepped in to actually do stuff, you can't go back to someone like Delta, Boro, or Code, even though you technically do Boro afterwards, but you know what I mean. I guess Jigen versus
Well,
Koji would be the
but they
endgame
did
there.
Boro immediately after the Jigen fight. So it wasn't like they did that like during the Ishiki fights when Boro stepped in. It was like around the midpoint area, just after it.
Sure. Yeah. I would say definitely the Koji versus Jigen fight. That's where the story shifts, if you're going to say it like that, I guess, in terms of importance of Kara member characters.
Yeah.
It just feel weird to have a code fight at any point after that, considering where the
I
story
honestly think
went
it would
in
have
or
had to
where
been
it
like
was
right
going.
after the Delta fight. Maybe some
Yeah.
possibilities would be when Sasuke goes to the Ten Tails, maybe instead of Jigen showing up, Code's actually the one who shows up, or maybe Code is just straight up
I was thinking the same
there,
thing.
and that's where
And
the
that would
fight
have been cool,
happens,
bro, if we
and
got a
then
fight
Jigen
there.
shows up afterwards because Code died or something, or because Code hasn't reported in a while, so he goes to check on
Yeah.
it, sees Code dead, it's like it's time for me to step in or something like that.
I don't know about seeing Code dead. That's completely fine to say. But either way, I think that he can't see Sasuke.
Yeah, he doesn't see Sasuke. Sasuke would be hidden the same way he was.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Okay.
That comes
So,
right
okay,
after the
if
Delta
this
fight
is the
too,
case
so.
with if Amino was originally intended to just not come to the village, that's hilarious to me. It just makes me think that Koji started just straight up as a villain. Like we were saying, bro.
Yeah, like yeah,
We
that
were
makes
saying that
sense.
recently.
Like, but he
Yeah,
didn't
I mean,
like.
all the things that Koji's saying, even in the manga, like he's telling Delta that like the world will know Kara's name. And he's laughing maniacally and everything. It's
And a lot of the
weird,
things like
bro.
in the things that expounded on the characters, even like Code's like closeness to Jigen and him being the right hand man, and that came from the anime.
Yeah,
And the anime
yeah, that was
came
not
out
there.
years after the changes were made. So the anime is taking into
Mhm.
account the new path, not the manga. So, kind of fills in
Yeah.
the blanks there.
Exactly. Assuming that they're giving them the new path and they're not just making their own thing, anyways.
I feel like
And then the
I don't know.
anime
It's
just
so
goes,
it's
the manga goes
it's
with it.
weird. I feel like the anime, whoever's writing anime, like has information on future plots because we see them do like foreshadow things that happen way like later on in the story. So I feel like they just like tell them how the story is gonna play out, and they take that into account. I don't know, or just give them like a rough idea, maybe I don't know, or some key elements.
Maybe they have
Yeah.
Kishimoto's draft. This is actually hilarious. Maybe they have Kishimoto's draft. They're going based on that. But then when Ikimoto changes it, it's kind of like, well, shit. Too late.
I mean, like
Bro.
it
I
depends.
love it.
Like when the anime came out, like was it changed then? I don't know. Like when it first came out, like it came out like a year after the manga, right? Or was it like 2 years? I don't
Something
remember.
like
I don't
that.
remember.
I think it might have been 1 year. Not sure.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm 100% confident Kishimoto never wrote the word omnipotence once in his outline.
No,
No,
it's
that's
clear.
all Ikimoto.
It's
like he
it's
said
clear
it.
that Ikimoto did all that. In fact, he said, I thought he said something in one of the interview questions pertaining to. I think he said he had the idea of Boruto and
No,
Kawaki
yeah,
switching positions for a long time, but not
yeah.
Kishimoto. It
Ikimoto
was
had
his
the
idea.
idea. Yeah. Yeah, he said a long time now. We don't know
Now-
like what a lot. Boruto has been on for like 7 years, so yeah.
Well, I
Long time
stand
could
by
mean
it.
anything.
It was not an idea when Kodachi was still writing, because
I completely
I will
agree.
forever stand by it. The blue eyes, that's not a red herring. That's just bad, especially when Momoshiki's bringing it up again in chapter 78, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Like, that's
I
not a
don't
red
think-
herring
I
at
don't-
that point.
I don't think
That's
even
just
now
weird.
that, but I don't think it still has anything to do with like Ada's blue eyes. I think it.
Well, then the
Yeah,
prophecy
weird,
still
yeah.
doesn't make sense, because Boruto sure as hell didn't do anything.
No, because
Yeah.
again, here we are. Timelines. The future has changed. Possible future. See, Momoshiki saw a possible future that didn't play out. That's why he was having like that meltdown. Like it wasn't supposed to go this
Okay, let's
way.
not pretend like 10 Directions was planned if omnipotence wasn't.
Yo,
Yeah,
look
bro.
at this.
I think
look at
10
this, man.
Directions was planned after the fact, bro. I don't think 10 Directions was planned, even when
Hey, you don't know, man. You
Even
don't
at
know.
that
Maybe it was in the original draft. Who knows?
Nah, not a chance, bro.
Nah, bro. Like
Kishimoto
you know,
is
they
goated,
wrote
bro. Come on, man.
what's his face? Kashin Koji saying he was satisfied just dragging out Jigen and nothing more, when the whole point of the Ishiki versus Koji fight was that he refused to believe Ishiki was right, and that's all he was supposed to do. Bro is not satisfied. The whole reason he kept fighting is because he believed his role was to kill Ishiki, not just drag him out of Jigen. I don't believe for a
Bro, if
second he had
Amino-
that plan.
if the original draft is Amado doesn't go to the village, is Koji even the one that fights Jigen in order to die against him and unlock 10 directions in the first place?
Hey, but if you look at look at it this way. But that happened while Kodachi was still writing the story. So like that means he would have
but
known
apparently
about omnipotence then.
Ikimoto's the one who introduced Kawaki when
Exactly.
Kodachi was writing. It was Ikimoto's idea to have Amado defect when Kodachi was writing.
Because it's Ikimoto's manga, man. Like Kishimoto said it in the interview. Like he wouldn't have started it if it wasn't for Ikimoto. Like Kodachi was just doing the script writing for Ikimoto. That's
saying just doing the script writing is the downplaying what he was doing.
Bro is just writing dialogues. Like he had to report to Ikimoto.
He was doing more than just a dialogue.
Yeah. Going back to my analogy though, Kamui, imagine if on my False Perfection side series made by the Bombers, if in the credits of the Bombers episodes, it just wrote Oodie Mohar, writer. It's like the same idea.
Yeah.
And Kido wasn't here for that, so he doesn't quite get it. But just imagine it's the same exact situation. So there you go. Comparing it to itself. I also think that so not only was 10 Directions not planned, I don't even know if Koji was planned to come back. Well,
it does say Ikimoto said that Koji's role was renewed in light of some of the changes. Let me find exactly what he said. So he wanted to create for himself a new outcome for the shonen part and a concept for the seinen part. Once that was decided, Ada and Damon were born. Kashin Koji's role was renewed. Granted, we don't know when Ikimoto decided all this, but Amato's escape to Konoha followed. There's a reference to the changes he wanted to make that are different from Kishimoto Sensei's outline. So this tells us Ada and Damon were not born in Kishimoto's outline. Koji's role was not renewed in Kishimoto's outline, which makes me think, honestly, right here, Kashin Koji may have just died in Kishimoto's version.
Yeah.
Because he says renewed, not changed. So, I mean, I think that's more like he got a new role. And Amato's escape to Konoha followed. So that's making me think that Ishiki may have just killed Koji and Amato or something. I don't know.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's either that or Kishimoto didn't have any idea or plan or direction to take the character in. So he is writing, you can either kill him or don't kill him. I don't care. Do your own thing with him if you want to.
Yeah.
And so basically, it could even be a thing of like, all right, write him in a stasis, a point of to where you can bring him back. But if you don't bring him back, you literally don't have to. Like here, I'm writing it in a way to where you can at any point to do whatever you want with him, or you could just never do it and people won't be that mad.
Well, I would have been mad if Koji escaped.
Well, the way it's written now, yeah, but you know what I mean.
No, Koji wouldn't have escaped at that point. He would have just.
You know what I mean. Anyways.
Yeah. Anyway.
I wonder what Sauron thinks about that.
Sauron thinks that the interview shouldn't have happened, according to one tweet. I don't think he liked them.
What about that, Sauron?
Well, hello.
Yeah, you hate the interviews?
Oh my gosh, I'm freaking itchy as hell. I'm about to rip my skin off.
Is it because of these interviews?
Sauron, is that Sarada in your profile picture? You know she's only 15, right?
That's Nico
Robin. What is wrong with you?
That's Nico Robin from One Piece.
Yeah,
One Piece? You mean the P-word author?
What are y'all talking about?
So I'm sharing my screen right now. Yeah, so sorry, I'm sharing my screen. So the word that Kishimoto used is probably recognizable to everyone here, but kakoi. It's an adjective.
It means attractive, good looking, stylish, cool, smooth, neat, with it, and groovy. And
Okay.
Kishimoto called Sarada hot and
Groovy.
sexy.
He called it groovy.
Okay, so the translator who was there translated what he said
Idiot.
to
Yeah.
sexy. And then the person who released the translation into English, she's wonderful, Banzai, translated it to, well, sexy as well. So it was just this giant mistranslation. And even if he did use the word sexy, let's say he didn't.
He did it.
But if he did, well, the language, depending on the context and how you're saying the word, it can mean something a little different. There's even certain words like that in English, depending on the context. Like, I said in my tweets that I've used sexy to describe things that aren't sexual at all, like a car, a food, a piece of furniture. I've used the word sexy in
But
those capacities as
I
well, and I don't mean I want to have sex with furniture,
Really? You
but
don't?
but, but
or I
even
think that
but
the
even then
furniture is
like
voluptuous.
but even then
Oh,
like
but
what do you
Sauron,
guys like? Do
your Twitter
people?
thing says trying. So are you or aren't you?
Um, it says trying for a
But
reason.
Ood, yeah, you're right, right? You right stuff,
Mhm. I write.
right?
Yeah, that was a funny way to
Oh,
You
say that.
create.
Yeah,
yo,
I write,
Walky!
right? Yeah, I do
Hello,
write, right?
hello,
You have
kiddo.
yeah. What's up, man? What's up? What's up? You
Just
wait.
now noticing. What do you
You have
mean?
you have characters in your story, right?
I do have characters in my story.
Do you have character descriptions?
What is happening?
Are any of them
Do you
do have
describe your
sexy?
character
characters?
descriptions.
How do you
Here,
describe your
in fact, I can
characters?
show you some of my characters. Yeah, let me go to not thumbnails because I know exactly where I'm going. I don't know why I'm clicking through random. Where am I going? Where's old desktop? I go to desktop,
Careful,
then I go
bro.
to
Like, careful. I don't
Oodie
want to see
stick,
that folder,
the
man.
VN, I go to Fall
No,
I
Professions,
don't
no
want to
such in
then I
see
that
can
that
go to
folder.
here,
folder. No one should
merchandise,
see.
market, fig, um, um, it's gonna be this one here, merch. Pretty sexy to
Oh,
me, huh?
Wow, that looks like Lolly.
that's crazy.
What do you
That is
mean?
crazy.
It's not.
Yeah.
That is
That's
very
crazy.
clearly
You
a
cannot be
child.
saying
That
that's
looks like
not.
that's a lolly, bro. That is
That's
crazy.
very
Okay.
clearly a child.
Isn't this
But no,
Kakoi?
but I don't understand, man, because I feel like people like it's pearl clutching because like even if like go back to like 2015 2014 like these characters when you see them in like TV shows like Vampire Diaries, these 17-year-olds, 15-year-olds, they're having sex, and you're looking at maybe these romance novels and even anime and stuff, like when these characters are created and the person who creates these characters and sends off these descriptions to the people to bring these characters to life, like what words do you think they use when they're trying to like create the sexy archetype of a teenage girl, or let's say the handsome hot jock in high school, like what words do you think they use? Like, do you think they mean it in the sense that, oh, I'm personally attracted to this person, or do you think they're just describing a type of character they want you to put on screen?
In the
Like it's
perspective of
so
the
weird to
characters and the
me.
war environment that they're in. Yeah,
Exactly,
obviously.
because you
Huh.
want you understand what people like and what you
Yeah.
don't have to be that person. If you're a writer and you're creating stories, like you have to understand this and you have to be able to describe what you're trying to portray. Of course, people of a younger age find people their age sexy. So when you're describing a character of
Mm-hmm.
that age and that's a character you're trying to create to put on screen, that's how you describe the character. That doesn't mean that you personally are attracted to the character. I feel like people are just it's just so weird to me.
It's just
Yeah, I don't know, like it's just so stupid, man. It's
it's
just so stupid.
pearl clutching, self righteousness, moral
It's
masturbation.
just being disingenuous because I feel like they do understand it. They don't really care about this. Trust me. I feel like they do understand, but it's
No,
just
no,
like
they don't care
get
about
your
it at all. It's all about agenda.
yeah.
It's all about
Yep.
agenda. Um,
Jesus.
I mean, there's definitely a way to where there's definitely ways that authors can say this stuff to where like it would be kind of disturbing. That's not this
Yeah,
situation though.
yeah.
That's
If you
not
go
what this
crazy
was.
with it, yeah, I
This
understand that.
was
Yeah.
extremely sensationalized to a very high degree. I can't tell in the amount of people that were saying that he deserves to be locked up. I saw some people saying he should die. I saw people calling him a
Bro, it's
full-blown pedophile
bro,
on
and it's people
thousands
in
of
this
That's a lot of
tweets.
community.
people.
Thousands of
It's
tweets. This is
people. Huh.
ridiculous.
It's the biggest accounts in the Boruto Naruto community. I'm like, yo, these people. And the funny thing is,
Yeah, bro.
they
Freaking
put the shit out. They
six.
jump on the cloud train and they're like, oh, these niggas, he's a weirdo and all that stuff. And
It
then later on, when it comes out, they're like, oh, people should stop spreading misinformation. Like you are the one who did this. You're not like people should stop
it
spreading
was
misinformation. You did this. I'm like, what the fuck?
it was a
Like these
lot of
people
people
are so
outside of
disingenuous, bro.
the
Like it's
it
crazy.
was a lot of people outside of the Naruto community, but there was some who were doing that. People were just really shocked by the statement. I mean, I was, but kind of I had an interpretation that was like, oh, he could just mean it in a different fashion in the way that some people use. Some sexy can be used to describe something that's cool, exciting, flashy. It's not
No,
always used in the context of erotic.
yeah, but even if you
Um,
read the full context of what was said, right,
Obviously, that's not what he
and
means. Yeah.
you understand what it means clearly, right? And then he says something like, "Oh, I can't draw that type of character," like because you go back to his prior statement saying that he doesn't like this type of design on female characters. I'm pretty much sure there's a statement on that he say he can't draw those types of characters, but Ikimoto can.
Yeah.
I just feel like people are just
Bro said he
trying
was
to
embarrassed
misinterpret what
drawing
he's saying.
Sakura. There's like a Sakura swimsuit thing, and he was too
Yeah.
embarrassed to put her in a bikini.
I feel like a lot of people have forgotten that existed because I mean, well, even if they didn't, I mean, maybe they've never seen it, but just go to the Naruto manga. Does that really sound like something that Kishimoto would like say in that particular way? No. If he was so interested in sexualizing these characters, he would have done so in his original manga. He never
You wouldn't have made a
sexualized
satirical jutsu making fun of it.
That's what the point of that jutsu. He also got caught a pedo for that today. Because people always have to bring that the whole point of that jutsu is to make fun of manga authors who do whatever. But yeah, if he really thought in that capacity, he would actually put that stuff into his manga. He never did. The most sexualization that you'll get in the Naruto manga with the younger characters is just a character addressing, oh, has slightly bigger breast. That's it.
Or Jiraiya talking about the number of centimeters of
And you want to
tsunamis.
know what Jiraiya's meant to be? A freaking degenerate.
So
So
his whole thing is that
why?
he is the pervert.
What?
And they call him out on it.
Everybody makes fun of him for it. It's not like, oh, Jiraiya's just being silly. He has a giant scar on his body because he did that. Like, man, he almost died for it. By one of his best friends. Like, come on. It's just ridiculous. Today was stupid. That's what I meant by the interview was a mistake. Obviously, there's a lot of good stuff in the interview that I found to be interesting, mostly as an
like
art
the
fan.
interview,
Bro is never doing another interview, bro. This is the last one y'all getting, bro. It's done. It's over.
Can't even call a character cool anymore.
There's definitely a lot of stuff about the interview that I liked. Even if a lot of the stuff was I wish there was more Boruto questions. Clearly, these weren't fan questions. I don't believe that they actually submitted any fan questions. These all feel like very curated interviewer questions.
Yeah.
These are not fan questions. I highly doubt that they actually did that.
Maybe the Sarada one, the Sakura ones.
The Naruto ones
Maybe.
were interesting. The Boruto ones were fine. I mean, there wasn't really much there. But ultimately, the interview was a mistake. Look at what it caused. So,
Look, yeah, Kishimoto probably doesn't even know, bro.
Yeah, I mean, if he uses
he literally
Twitter,
said he wasn't that in touch with the Western audience. Ikimoto is, but
Well, Ikimoto
abroad,
probably
Kishimoto says
does,
he
yeah.
doesn't pay attention to that.
Ikimoto has his burner
Oh my
account
God.
because he knows about us like the fandom talking about Sarada because he mentioned it
Yeah, no,
in the
he did
interview.
mention it. He knows for sure.
So yeah, he has a burner in the Boruto community, of course. Sure.
Because he mentioned that a lot of people complain about the fact that
The
Sarada wears
heels.
heels, and that's not what ninjas would wear. And it's like, I still find the wearing of the heel. It's the type of heels that she's
The
wearing that's my problem. It's the
yeah,
heels that she is
yeah.
wearing, not necessarily the
Bro said
heel in
chakra
totality.
control, man.
Because Sakura wears heels, but like they're like combat boots.
It's chakra
She's wearing
control.
legitimate heels. That's just stupid.
This man's crazy,
Um,
bro. But he's like, look, but I understand what he's saying. Hey, look, bro. I
he's
want to
just
draw
he's just trying to
heels.
make
I'm,
super.
I'm just gonna do it.
It's very clear to me the women he draws in the manga are meant to look central and or model perfect. They're meant to look like fashion
Yeah,
models.
he
That's what
doesn't
they look
make them
like.
get dirty, bro.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
very
maybe I should.
feminine. They're very feminine. They're very sensual. They're very clean. They just look. They just look really pretty. They look like
Yeah,
fashion
but yeah,
models.
back in like Kishimoto, like he just had them in the dirt like everyone else, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just a difference between the two of
Yeah.
them. But
It's also the difference between saying something is attractive versus saying you're attracted to something.
Hmm.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Like a flower is an attractive thing to look at. You don't see me going around banging rose bushes.
I called food that I've made before sexy. Do I want to? Am I considering
Yeah.
my food erotic or voluptuous? No. I think it looks
Mhm.
slick. I think it looks clean. It's sexy. I just whatever.
But again, Kishimoto isn't even doing this. Like, this would be the worst interpretation. He's not even doing this. Like, kakui, it's the most overused word in freaking all of Japanese. It literally means cool. Boruto says it like twice an episode. Like, if you don't recognize this word, I'm shocked.
If that's what he said, I don't know how they translated it to sexy because I'm pretty sure sexy in Japanese is very similar to the word sexy in like English. So I don't.
Bro,
Well,
I'm
no, that's
telling
actually
you, dude,
that
it's
actually
gotta be
works perfect
malicious.
because
That
I
can't be a
saw a
mistake.
post
Isn't sexy
saying
in Japanese literally
Who's this
just
100%?
sexy? It's very similar, right?
I saw a post saying it was like a debate over what word was actually used. The first person used a word that started with the letter S, conveniently here, and the one in question was kakui that someone else heard.
Mhm.
So, I mean, someone apparently heard him say the sexy word,
No,
but
somebody
I
heard
don't
him
know.
say sexy, and when she said that he said sexy, she was like, he said it in a way that it's like, he meant it in like an innocent manner. So basically, she was trying to say that he didn't mean it in a term like, oh, it's very erotic. It's very. He meant it in a
If
very
he
like.
meant that, he wouldn't even say that, bro. That's the first
He
thing.
just meant it that it was cool.
Especially on
Also,
an international platform.
it's just out of character for Kishimoto to say something like that, and I think nobody cares. A lot of people didn't care to even take it into account because agenda. Everybody wants to call manga artists pedos. It's just a thing.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so weird. Like people are like power scaling
Yeah.
pedo-ness of Kishimoto versus Oda.
I've
Ridiculous.
a lot of the term pedophile being used in such a capacity makes me truly uncomfortable. Um, that is a word that's so heavily loaded, and it's used so
Bro,
casually
every
these days,
day,
and it's just disgusting.
every day on Twitter, bro.
Like
I
that's not
open
a word.
my fucking yeah. It's just
It's
weird.
not a word that you should use in such a casual manner. Like that's a word that shouldn't be like belittled. Like it
Like,
it's
bro,
it's
I
Bro, there
extremely bizarre.
imagine,
like there
bro.
aren't just like
Imagine doing an
50,000
interview,
pedophiles walking this earth, guys. Like those are like rare
bro.
types of people.
Imagine doing an interview and you just get out, you go online and you're being called a pedo, bro. That's crazy, bro. Just
Mhm.
like I can just
No
imagine
wonder he doesn't
Ikimoto
do
like
interviews often.
checking and it's like, yo,
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I wonder what the fans are saying about what I said, and he's like, yo, he's a pedo. I'm like,
I also don't
yo, that's insane.
think that a
That's
lot of
insane,
people
bro.
know what the word at this point pedophile even means.
People don't care, bruh. They're just like, I mean,
People
technically,
don't care.
I mean, like, you know, like, you know, like it technically isn't. I think it's what 13 and under, but like, you know, like 17 and under, bro. Like, just don't do it. You know, like
Yeah, no,
you're gonna get called a
obviously.
pedo. You know, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't really like.
Pedophile.
I don't really care if it's like used to cover like under 18. You know, I don't really care. Like, no pedo, whatever the other one is, same thing. I don't really care. I like technically not the same thing, but I don't really care personally.
Mhm.
You know, but when you're just like using it like randomly, like I see it on Twitter, like dudes are debating, and next thing I see is this dude is being called a pedo. I'm
Like, and
like,
it's
yo, like, yeah,
it's
you guys disagree, and
it's
all
a
of a
bunch
sudden the other
of
guy's a pedo.
it's a bunch of One Piece fans and fans from other communities and whatnot, because a lot of Naruto fans, when a certain thing happened in One Piece, where a girl, so there's a girl named Bonnie within the manga who has the power to physically and mentally age herself up to that of a 24-year-old woman. Oda sexualized that version of the character, and then it turned out the
Mm.
character was actually younger, and he's never sexualized the younger version of the character, and after he revealed the age of the character, he hasn't sexualized her character once since. People said that he should die, be locked up, be thrown in jail, he's a pedophile. They used all those little terms, so this was the perfect ammo for
Mhm.
a bunch of people on Twitter to go, revenge. So
And
it's agenda. It's an agenda thing.
you can expect that though. Like when it comes to like other fandoms, I knew from the moment that dropped, because I was there when it dropped live. When I think it was Bonsai Me or whatever the name is. I don't remember the
Bonsai.
name of the account. Bonsai. Like she dropped from it dropped. I knew, okay, yeah, it's over. It's
No, no, no.
it's
I
over.
was
What I did not expect was Naruto and Boruto fans also. Like I did not
people
expect.
were
I was
just
like,
I think it
interesting.
was I think people were
Okay.
just shocked. I think people were just shocked. I don't they were caught off guard. They weren't
Yeah, I know.
properly
I saw
Yeah.
so
listening
many
at
tweets
first.
of people like being like, "No way, Kishimoto's a P word," and then like 2 hours later, "Oh my God, we're so back, bro. Kishimoto beat the allegations. We're so
It's all a
effing
joke,
back."
bro.
It's like, "Oh my God, you guys are so stupid." But you couldn't even wait a day. You made 2 posts, first hating on the dude, then being like, "Oh, we're so back."
Yeah.
Like Jesus Christ.
But no, I kind of figured it was gonna blow up as soon as I read it. So when I first read it, I was reading the entirety of the thread. It was at 100 retweets, quote retweets. And then by the time I was done reading it, which took me like another five
Bro,
minutes, took me like
600
another 5 minutes to read
quote
because I was
tweets.
doing something else. By the time I was done, it was at 400 quote retweets, and then 30 minutes later, it was at like 500. It just, mm,
Mm,
what a day! What a day! What a day!
yeah. So I have the word here. Sexy in Japanese is a katakana. It's a borrowed word. It doesn't exist in Japanese, so they literally just stole it from English. So they would
So it's
just
just
say it
sexy,
as
right?
you pronounce it Japanesey. So yeah,
Yeah.
sekushi or sekusui. It is a na adjective, so how you would use it in a sentence, which is likely, assuming this is the word that you used, you would say sekushi na. But it'd be the same for kakui. Kakui is also a. Oh, it is actually an e adjective, but like yoi. Okay, yeah. I remember now. Okay, yeah, it's the different one. Okay, yeah, but yeah, it's probably if it ends with a na, then it's probably this one. If it doesn't end with a na, it's kakui. I do have because kakui has two kanjis in it. It's a ii or yoi. You go with the past tense. So I have the two kanjis here. First one, status, position, rank. So that's the first half of the word, what it means. The second half of the word, good. So it's something that has positive position. It's good status. Its rank is well. Just think something that's nice, something that's positive about the person. or character or whatever. It's a compliment. It means cool. It's basically that. Yeah.
So have y'all
But even
covered?
then, really quick, worst case scenario, even if he is saying sexy, he's not saying that she is sexy. Rather, I could imagine it being like a mom being like to her teenage daughter, "Ooh, you should get this bra. It's really sexy."
I think he's just
Like,
saying
"Ooh,
that
this would be like you'd be so sexy with this bra." But like she's not saying that she's not sexualizing her daughter. If
like
that
the
makes
design
sense.
is just sexy. I don't know, it's just like I get it, but like just think about what he is saying. Like just think about the context that it is in. Like I don't know. It's just
I don't remember the
I
context.
understand the initial I
He
understand
likes
the initial
Ikimoto's
bizarre
design.
reaction.
It's his favorite design. That's all the context is.
I understand the ininitial bizarre
Jesus God,
reaction,
please.
but everything else after.
Check it out, Blue Star Saber.
Do you have the official translation or whatever, Sauron? Like, is there an official transcript of it so I can just see which word it is?
In the chat, brother.
There was no
Does that not
official
exist?
there's no official translation of the
No
Japanese
video.
text.
God. It's okay.
No, but no videos were allowed to be recorded. The only people who were
But it
able
was
to
live streamed, I thought.
No. The only people who got
Like, they were
recordings
I
of
mean,
it.
some
tweeting
people
out
recorded.
the
No,
art they were drawing live.
That's because
Blue
people
Star,
were
we already went through
were
that,
there.
We went through that exact tweet.
Yeah, but I mean close-ups. Like, I saw, like, the stage beforehand, the pre-show, like, people sitting in the audience, the stage. But, like, who took the close-ups of the images they were drawing?
You were allowed to take
Someone
photos of
snuck
the
in there.
You were allowed to take pictures of the drawings before, like there was drawings there, and then the show started. I'm pretty sure.
I even saw a picture of Kishimoto and Ikimoto.
Yeah, people snuck photos. There are some people who snuck photos, and some people
It's
who
probably
were able
staff.
to
There's
record.
definitely staff.
Some people were able to record audio just by like having their phone in like their lap, so no one can see it. It doesn't mean I care. Just know I was.
Yeah, do any of those exist on the internet? How do you know that they did that?
They do exist. They're on the Boruto. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce that the last word. I'll find the account. I just don't know if you'll find that particular clip.
Okay, that's fine.
No, you won't find that. You won't find that clip.
What's the
You
third
won't
thing?
find it.
This one. If you can get
What'd
that,
you say?
I'm sure it'll come out over the next few days. What's the next thing? There's like 3 things you said. The first was a controversy. The second is who's writing it. The third is like another big thing, and that's like the third big thing. There's other smaller things that like we can go over, but
In terms of big things, it would probably be the whole Kishimoto might be running a new manga thing.
Right. So do you guys think this is Naruto, Samurai 9, or something new?
Okay, here's my guess. If it's anything at all, of course, assuming it's anything at all, it's a Sakura one-shot manga, just like the Minato manga. Because he said in multiple different responses, he wished he had spent more time with Sakura and her parents. There's another entry about he wished he had developed Sakura more as a character. And then we know he's done the Minato manga. Sakura was one of the top 3 votes in the Naruto Top 99. So I'm thinking that might be what he's referring to. I don't think he's referring to a long-term weekly manga serialization, considering he said again he wants to focus on spending more time with his family. Yet another reason for him not to be the main writer of Boruto. So I'm thinking for at least a while he probably wants to stick to like those one-shot chapters. Maybe it's every other year he does it, maybe every 5 years or whatever. But I'm thinking Sakura is what it's gonna be, if I had to guess.
Knowing what he did with Kurama, I wouldn't be surprised if Boruto chapter 14 and onward just has the main character. Just kill Boruto off. It's just the Sakura show now. I can just imagine.
Yeah. Sakura just shows up out of
Bro, that's
nowhere.
what he
I,
wants.
I
I was
do
always
agree.
going to return.
If he's gonna do a one-shot manga, it's gonna be on. Probably maybe would be on Sakura. I would read it. I would definitely read
hope
it.
so.
It would definitely do well.
Be so happy.
Sakura fandom is huge.
Yeah,
I
she
don't
has
know my Sakura video. Let's go.
she for some reason has a very
Perfect
large fandom, and they're very weird. Don't like them.
For a
They're-
very rightful reason. Third best character in the entire series, objectively so.
No.
Tell it to the official website. She's officially the best.
Yeah,
Goat.
but I would read a Sakura manga. It is definitely possible that he meant that he will do another manga. He's not gonna do another weekly series. It would probably be in V Jump magazine. His last series didn't do very well. It'd probably be in V Jump magazine, and he would be a monthly series. He wouldn't draw it. He would write it, and that's as much as he would do. So if it's another manga,
Yeah,
it would be that.
Definitely isn't
J-Man,
Boruto,
who do you
Naruto
think the
related.
manga's about?
He's definitely done with that shit, bro. It's over.
I don't. It might. I'm pretty sure it's not Boruto Naruto related. Mainly because I feel like if he said that he was going to be working on a new manga, I feel like he would have said, "I'm working on a new manga, and it partakes in the Naruto franchise." Something along those lines. I
Step
think
on
he's actually
Ikimoto's
hinting on a
toes.
new manga. Probably most likely a monthly series or bi-weekly series. That he will not draw.
Monthly? Huh?
Monthly, yeah.
No, he's gonna pull the Black Clover stuff, bro. Once every 4 months.
No, I don't see him doing that with. I don't think Kishimoto would go to that magazine.
Shout out Chapo for love in chat.
I think the
Bro,
lowest
is literally a bad translation. OMG stop.
I think
Yeah,
the
dude.
lowest Kishimoto would go is V Jump magazine.
Maybe.
Jman. Like
Speaking of that comment,
Oodie.
Oodie, I love J-Man's response. Leave a like to
I
prove your
know.
point.
You know, you're
So good, bro.
Jman,
Jman, who do you think the one shot will be about? Assuming it's a one shot at all. Assuming Jman's here.
Or a manga. I
Yes,
don't. Yeah, assuming it's a one shot, like of a Naruto character, because that's the only thing we'd have a guess for.
I think Sakura is definitely at the top of the list of likelihood for all the reasons you listed, and especially because from what I've seen, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure he said that he is looking to his family for inspiration on the new manga.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an
Yeah,
interesting.
so it's gonna be
that-
family oriented.
You're
I mean,
right.
Sakura's the perfect person, especially with Sakura's parents.
Or-
Like,
You are right.
That was
Or you do
mentioned
Sakura.
in the
You're right that he
Or-
did say that.
Or it's a Kurama manga, bro. The one that he always wanted to make.
A
Tell
Kurama
his
Oh,
family,
manga.
you
he
know?
already did. What do you mean?
Yeah, he already did it. He just
He
used
turned the
Minato
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 mean-
manga into a Kushina manga.
I mean,
He turned the Boruto manga into a
Is
Kurama
it
Kurama?
manga.
really? Well, what did we
Well, actually,
learn about Kurama
Ikimoto
really?
did that one.
No, he turned it into a
Yeah.
Kushina manga.
But
Exactly, yeah.
ironically,
Kushina manga.
Kamui, this is one of the first things I saw is that he was looking to his family for inspiration for a new manga. This, ironically, also helps to just prove the fact that he's not writing Boruto. We
mean-
were right. The movie was literally the point is he's spending time with his family.
We've gotten full confirmation.
Bro,
not
the
right,
dude
boy.
literally said, "I'm reading it just like you guys."
We got full confirmation.
I don't know how
with
how
these-
clear this can be, to be honest.
with these latest interviews, we've gotten contradictory information, but the most common consensus is that like he's a supervisor and he wrote a lot of the
Majority of the time.
series before it had even been published, and certain things
Yeah.
have been
No,
tweaked.
he didn't write a
and-
lot of the
Wrote the
series.
outline.
He wrote an outline of
An
the
outline, yeah,
series.
yeah.
He wrote
Yeah,
none
oh
of
yeah,
the
that's
series.
very good to clarify
an outline
because
is
like
not
people
the
are so
series.
yeah, like people are so stupid. Like when they see outline, they think he wrote like legit have someone comment and say, No, Kishimoto wrote the entire
by the
story."
way, sorry,
And I'm
it's
like,
not
bruh.
Yeah. It's not of the series, it's of a story series, of which Ikimoto changed into his own series, a separate series from the outline. This isn't
They keep
that outline
They keep
anymore.
ignoring that part though.
yeah.
They keep
They didn't
Yeah.
say that it's changed heavily though, which I find to be interesting.
He
Well,
well he
They
didn't.
well, they
did imply
actually
that it
As
has
did.
time goes
changed.
on,
Yeah, I know. He said
knows more and more.
it's changed a lot. It's become
He said
it's
it's
drifted
far removed
pretty
from
far
from the
away.
original story. Let me get
Oh,
this statement.
again,
Everything in
like I
Boruto is
said,
difficult.
like I said, there's been tons of different translations of the same interview. I found 3 different
Yeah.
ones, and a lot of these statements are
So
very
really,
contradictory. So I don't really
Some of them are
know.
All the ones
attributed. Is that?
saw
Yeah,
were
yeah.
pretty much saying the same thing.
The ones I
Like the
have found
scriptwriter
have
one was Ikimoto and
contradictory
not Kishimoto.
trust in Ikimoto.
information.
Just putting the thumbs up on all the things Ikimoto sends him. He's not actually writing anything himself, and he's trusting that at the end of the day, the story's gonna end up to go back
At
to
the
the
end of
same
the
thing in the
day,
end,
the main
so he can
consensus
do whatever he
is
wants now.
the main consensus is, um, he's not writing. It's definitely Ikimoto, which is like, yeah.
I mean, Oodie, even then, I think it's more what Kishimoto is saying is like, I already wrote the major plot points, so like, I know at the very least he's got that to reference. So like, worst case scenario, he just does what I wrote. It's like, so he's not worried about it
Yeah.
because he's already given
And
an idea.
it's more so a trust
I
thing
think the
because
flash forward
he
scene.
mentioned that he trusted him.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
I
think the
don't,
flash
but he
forward
does.
scene was very good. A great decision for Boruto Part 1. I think it's ruining Two Blue Vortex. I think he wants to go in a different direction, but literally can't. Like the fact that he's straying away from the outline as time goes on. Obviously, the top of the tree would be the part most bent, but it's the part that has to go back to normal.
What's funny is
Well,
Kishimoto said that like
technically,
in reference to his weekly writing, he wrote that flash forward scene without like having any idea how they were gonna get there. He just like
yeah.
does that
That's what I'm
sometimes.
thinking about Koji as well. Koji's fate. That's what I think he's doing as well with that in the outline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but like they can like I feel like the flash forward scene it kind of moved because if we're assuming that that was the end of the original outline, like the top of the tree as you mentioned, like I feel like it isn't anymore. Like
Yeah, I
Ikimoto can
agree.
easily to fix it, he can just like move it from the end and put it in the middle. Just get there quickly, get it
Yeah.
over with, and then get back to his story. So it can
All
happen
he
I
has
think
to
without
do
any
is
issues
just
too.
implement it into this worst possible future. As long as it's involved
Mm-hmm.
in some manner, then he's not really removing it.
Yeah.
He's just
Well,
intertwining it
technically,
into his idea.
I feel like some people would complain about it. Like technically, like he can just say like, "Oh, it was the worst possible future, but Boruto did something to avert it." But like people would argue, "But you showed it, so that means that it did come true." But now you're changing the story, like.
I
So
don't
I
think
feel
they
like
should
he
do that. I
has to
think they
show it
should keep
happening.
it just like,
Yeah.
but like it can be like the last thing before the worst possible future, or it can be part of it, but then the next thing that comes is
Mm-hmm.
the planet's devoured anyway. So like you just
But
integrate
what
it
is
however you
the
do.
worst? I mean, it could come after the worst possible future because technically the worst possible future is the Ten-Tails destroying the planet, right? So
Yeah.
like and currently they're fighting the Ten-Tails. I feel like Kawaki comes after the
Rings
Shinju.
was.
That's also
So
possible too, yeah.
yeah. So
Although
it's
why
like the
Koji didn't
Naruto,
see it
Kaguya,
is
then
another
Sasuke thing,
question, but
That's if he didn't see it. I think he did. But the thing is, I feel like
then I think that
Koji
just is the
needs it
worst
to
possible
end.
future.
But, technically, it's the best possible future because the other ones results in the planet getting
I guess
destroyed.
yeah.
Now Kawaki versus Boruto, it's kind of it's sad for Boruto, but is it worse for the planet? Not really. So Kashin
I guess yeah.
Koji, I feel like he wants it to
I think he does
happen,
know.
but he's not going to tell Boruto because Boruto is going to be like, oh, don't want to go to a future where I have to kill Kawaki.
I think either way he knows that the Kawaki stuff's coming, regardless of how it plays into things.
And that's why he had the look on his face when Boruto was saying that he wasn't going to kill Kawaki. And he's like, you sure about that, bro? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. It's
Yeah, but Kido. Mello proved to you the Boruto multiverse.
Uh-huh.
You conceded to him
What?
on multiple
Yeah.
points.
You know,
Wait,
actually,
you
what's
talking-
interesting,
man.
Keto, wait, real quick,
Wait, I'm
Keto.
out of
It's
the loop.
interesting, but
out
wait,
of the
Keto,
loop.
you collabed with Mello. I thought he was never going to talk to you again.
Why would
Wait, what?
that? Wait, hold on. What's
Well,
happening?
remember
out of the
when
loop here.
Mello was never going to talk to you again because of your outrageous Ishiki versus Kaguya debate,
Oh.
where you said those horrible things and you can never
Yeah, you're a
talk to you
dirty
again.
liar. Can
Wait.
never be
Just, oh,
trusted.
crazy.
He-
Wait, that
Crazy
he has
times.
was
such
it
high
that one stream?
expectations.
Was it that one stream where all of you were here? Was this, or did you do a solo stream with Mello?
No, we were all
Nah,
here.
no.
Okay, so it was the one
No,
that-
they're referring to a stream he did by himself where he said those things. He's not gonna say that while I'm on the call.
No,
Of
no, no,
course,
no, no,
well,
no,
yeah,
no.
yeah, that-
I
he
mean,
did say
was
those
it
things,
it's the
so.
stream that he's talking about, the stream that we were all in?
The
Yeah.
Kaguya versus
When we were-
Ishiki debate one, yes.
Yeah,
But
that stream where we
afterwards,
were like,
when it was a
we were
separate
talking
stream, he
like
said he would never talk to
3
Keto
a.m. in the
again.
morning,
Yeah.
you know, having fun, joking around.
I forgot
But
he said
bro,
that. I forgot he said
yeah,
that.
bro went
Well, he also wasn't going to
crazy
collab
on
with
it.
any of us anymore. But I wonder what happened there.
That's not true.
It's interesting, I would say. Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's
Yeah,
not.
so Kido, what happened with that? That he absolutely wrecked your world with this
Well,
multiverse
actually,
debate.
I would say I wrecked his world, and based on the comments in
Wow,
the
how did I
actual
know?
stream,
Yes.
based on the comments in not only the podcast but his own stream, I would say,
Wait.
and that explains the current behavior.
The stream
That's
probably
what
is
I will
not
say.
great. Is the stream still
That's
out?
what I'll
Can I
say.
watch it?
So what you're
Yeah, you
saying
can
is
watch
you
it. Just go on the
conceded.
Cloud
Nick
Ninja.
Dark behavior.
Okay.
Hilarious.
You can go on the Cloud Ninja pod. It's there.
Oh, they're streaming right
Yes,
now.
indeed.
There's 2 people
Dark
left.
Yeah,
behavior.
Free Game sent me a message about. It was confusing. He hasn't responded yet.
What stream was
Apparently,
it, though? I
Oodie,
don't know
actually,
which...
real quick, which is funny because we were already in contact with Naruto Explained. But Free Game messaged me. He said, "Bruh, I need a link. LOL. I linked y'all with Naruto Explained. LOL. Y'all streaming." And I said, "Wait, what? We're streaming. Yeah. You need a link to what?" And he just never responded.
I think he means like hook him up, like a link to a person, like a
You know-
trade. Like he gave us Naruto Explained, we give him Swag Hage, for example.
Oh,
You don't have Swag Hage.
that might make more
Oh,
sense
I
in
guess.
reference to when he said, "How do you guys keep getting these voice actors?"
I would assume so, yeah. Bro, I don't know what he means by a link, as if it's not publicly just there. Like I just
You know-
messaged them publicly.
he wants
Do you know what stream it was?
Did
Because
you
the
ever just
streams...
link his Twitter page? Like it's in the I gave you the
Uh,
link. It's in the description of all 3 of them.
Yeah.
The one that's 2-3 days ago or something.
They streamed like 3 times in the 2 days.
No, pick the one that has the comments on it. Because the stream ended because something happened to Free Games stuff, but then
Oh,
it
the one with
started.
the
But that
most
was
comments,
after the
okay.
multiverse conversation. So
That was funny when Oodie accidentally leaked that.
Oh my god.
Because freaking
So-
wrote it in like the chat we were like on.
Bro, it was not my freaking. It was my fault, but like, how was I supposed to know?
Yeah, exactly. Because we didn't know
I-
what chat he was referring to.
Wait,
I didn't
so-
know either until he pointed
I
it
didn't even know
out.
it was streaming, let alone watching my screen.
Yo,
Yeah.
so kiddo, what is with all these people assuming that the time travel works the same? The time thing is the same as the MCU.
because like that's the only thing they were ever introduced to. They feel like
There's no
the
way that
only
that's
way
the
it
only
can
time
work.
travel story they've only seen.
Bro,
ever
these
seen.
people, they like it's crazy, bro.
Because
Yeah,
I don't know,
like,
because like, do people not realize that like Marvel uses it like in a very loose manner? They say timeline, they say universe, they say multiverse, and they use all. They say dimension. They use all 4 of those terms interchangeably. There's no consistency there. Why would you
yeah,
even expect that
And
to
it's-
be what they're using here? The Marvel thing
and
is a
it's
complete disaster.
No, trust me. Like, and a lot of people have like broken it down to explain why it doesn't make sense. But at a base level, like what they're using is just the alternate Earth theory. Like you go back in time, you change something instead of updating the current timeline, you create a parallel universe. That's what they're basically using. But of course, there's other stories that use the closed loop theory instead, where when you make changes, you update the current timeline. Like Back to the
Yeah,
Future,
exactly.
Flashpoint,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So you have different types of time travel mechanics, and you know, so
You can
yeah, you
really
have to
come up with
determine which one Boruto uses.
you can a writer can
Well,
come
I
up
don't
with their
even
own
think
time travel
necessarily
mechanics.
with Boruto. I don't think you. I mean, I know Mello kind of disagreed with this, but I don't think you need to assume there's any of these time travel mechanic stuff. I think it's just Koji sees a possible. At least for now, I'm gonna go with this. Koji sees the possibility. The Ishiki winning
Yeah.
thing never happened. It was just something that
Correct.
could have essentially the ability does what you could just think about logically. Oh,
Exactly.
if
But
Ishiki won, he would use Kawaki as a vessel and destroy the planet. The ability just
yeah,
shows him that. It's like a
exactly.
sleep
Yeah.
vision, but it is actually possible.
I agree because like
That's how I'm
Exactly.
looking
And I
at it
explained
until
this,
it's
but for some
changed.
reason,
if
Mello feels like it isn't. It's like we're listening, we're watching a fictional universe here, reading a fictional story. The characters having insane abilities, but for some reason, a character seeing a future that may play out it doesn't make sense
I
unless it exists. Like, why? Why?
feel
Why?
like
Why take this
Kashin
route? It's just so
feel like
weird to
It's
me.
like you have a little character who can just the will to make anything real in this story.
I feel like if Kashin Koji meant multiverse, he would have said, "I'm seeing futures of alternate realities,
Yeah,
alternate realities,
that's what they would have
alternate
used, or parallel universes.
yeah,
Now, what I
parallel
will say is,
universes."
Mello pulled up like
But he
some
said future
definitions that
possibility.
possible
Yeah.
like outcomes or whatever counted as a
But it's
definition of multiverse, and I'm like, okay, that's
it was
fine.
just
That can be a
wrong.
multiverse, but it's not a multiverse in the way people, at least as of right now, it's not in the way that people think of
Yo,
it.
Kami. If you listen to the debate, that's the exact thing I told him. But listen, it's not only that. Like, if you read his definition that he used, it's not say. I feel like Melo is looking at this like it's just like a bareback thing with not really like a deep analysis. So he looks at the Boruto chapter. He sees possible future. So he sees the word possible. Then he searches up multiverse. He sees possible in the definition and just eureka, multiverse. It's like it's no like context to the word being used, because if you actually read it